All right, we've got a couple of more folks joining. We'll just take a minute before we get started.
I see Noble's down there, Mel.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Good
Oh,
morning, Noble.
hey, Noble.
Morning.
All right. I think that is most of us. Great. Okay. I see Reverend Hancock. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Mel Barnes. I'm Chief Legal Counsel to Governor Evers and the Chair of his Pardon Advisory Board. Welcome to today's hearing. We're going to go through just a couple of housekeeping items about how today's hearing will run. I'm going to introduce the rest of the board members, and then we will get started hearing from all of you. So first and foremost, please note that the hearing today is being live streamed via Wisconsin Eye and YouTube. Please mute yourself and keep your video off until it's your turn to be heard by the board. That'll just let us focus on the person who's presenting and make sure we have good audio quality on the Zoom. If you do run into any IT issues, don't worry. Someone from my team will reach out and try to help you troubleshoot that. If we can't hear from you in the order that you're listed because your Zoom's not cooperating, we'll come back to you as soon as we get tech sorted out. Otherwise, we will call on folks in the order listed on the agenda and open meetings notice. Each person will have about 5 minutes total with the board. So we're going to ask you to spend the first 3 of those 5 minutes speaking to the questions that we sent you in advance of today's hearing. As a reminder, those are to first provide us with a brief summary of your offense and how your sentence went. We're not here to retry the crime. You don't need to minimize your involvement or anything like that. We just want to hear from you in your own words what happened. Second, we'll ask you to provide a brief summary of what you've done since your sentence, community involvement, employment, basically where you're at now and how your life is different. And then third, a brief statement about why you're seeking a pardon and why you think the governor should grant you one. Once you go through those 3 questions, and again, we'll ask you to spend about 3 minutes on that, we'll open it up to the board to see if there are other questions that folks have for you. Don't read too much into it either way. Sometimes all of our questions are answered by your statements and by the materials that you send us in advance. We do spend quite a bit of time going through those. But if we do have questions, we would make sure that the board has the information it needs to make a recommendation. So it's important that we do save those final 2 minutes of your time to answer any other questions the board has for you. Once the board is done asking you any questions, you're welcome to sign off and leave the Zoom. And once everyone is heard for the morning session and then the afternoon session, the board will meet in closed session to decide whether or not to recommend your application to the governor for a pardon. You need the majority vote of board members present in order for your application to be forwarded on to the governor. He will then, of course, make the ultimate decision about whether or not to grant a pardon. Either way, you'll hear about the outcome of today's hearing in about a month and a half from today. So you will not get a decision today. I know you've all been patient just to get to today's hearing. And we'll ask you to just bear with us a little bit longer so that we can make that thorough recommendation to the governor. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the rest of my board members and we will get started this morning. So with us in the Zoom, we have board member Nadia Perez-Reyes, who is the Deputy Secretary for the Department of Children and Families. She previously worked as a state public defender and as an attorney for Legal Action of Wisconsin. We have board member Judge Jeffrey Kremers, who is AG Call's nominee for this board. He served as a Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge for 26 years, including serving as chief judge for 7 of those years before retiring in 2018. We have board member Noble Ray, who served with the Madison Police Department for almost 28 years, including as chief of police from 2004 to 2013. Noble also led the U.S. Justice Department's Policing Practices and Accountability Initiative and currently provides racial bias training for law enforcement agencies around the nation and world. We have board member Reverend Jerry Hancock, who is the director of the Prison Ministry Project. He previously served as a public defender, a deputy district attorney, and as administrator for the Department of Justice's Division of Law Enforcement Services. And we have board member Cindy O'Donnell. who previously served as Deputy Secretary of the Department of Corrections under Governors Thompson, McCallum, and Doyle. She served as a division administrator under Attorneys General Lautenschlager and Van Hollen. And I believe that is everyone. Did I miss any of my board members? Fantastic. Okay, we will go ahead and get started hearing from our applicants. First up this morning, we have Mary Sawyer. Ms. Sawyer, we're ready to turn it over to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. We can hear you. We can't quite, there we are. Now we can see you.
I wrote my stuff down because I tried doing off notes last night. I was a little nervous, so sorry if it looks like I'm reading because I might be.
That's perfect.
Okay, I am located in central Wisconsin. My offense was a vehicle operator flee/elude officer, which occurred December 6th of 2009. I was sentenced with 120 days of house arrest with Huber privileges. Also, I had my license revoked for 6 months and paid a small fine. My sentence was completed October 4th of 2010. I did attend a drug and alcohol counseling that was not court ordered. I attended that at St. Joseph's Hospital with Ashley Brandt. I do work full-time at Saratoga Cranberry Company. Since completing my sentence, I've become extremely active in the cranberry industry. I participated in 3 different leadership courses. The first one was a Ocean Spray Cranberry New Wave program, which helped me gain knowledge and understanding of the Ocean Spray company and networked and able to broaden my network through other Ocean Spray cranberry growers nationwide. The Wisconsin Cranberry Growers Association Leadership Program was the second leadership program that I took. It helped me to better understand the Wisconsin cranberry industry and network with all the Wisconsin cranberry growers. I also feel like this leadership program is the one that helped me get involved with numerous committees and boards. The final leadership course that I took was the Ocean Spray Academy, which because of COVID, it's become a Zoom, and it was just more deeper dive into the very first leadership course that I took through Ocean Spray. I am on many boards and committees. I'm on the Wisconsin State Cranberry Growers Association board, where I hold the secretary position. I'm also on the Wisconsin Cranberry Research and Education Board, which oversees the cranberry research station that is located in Millston, Wisconsin. I serve on a golf committee and sporting clay committee, which hosts fundraisers for the cranberry industry, which provide funds for scholarships and our leadership programs. I am a member of the Wisconsin State Cranberry Growers Association Public Relations Committee. In 2017, I was on a committee for the Farm Technology Days. Our committee created a cranberry showcase in the middle of Innovation Square at Farm Technology Days, when it was hosted in Marshfield, Wisconsin. During those 3 days, we taught thousands of people about Wisconsin state fruit, the cranberry. Last year, I decided I had too much free time and wanted to broaden my horizon, so I joined a local nonprofit called For Nakusa. For Nakusa hosts fun, free family activities such as a summer civic picnic, Santa Claus visits down in the park, Nakusa Walleye Days, and the Easter 5K run and egg hunt. On top of all these boards and committees, I've helped with numerous community fundraisers and benefits. Whether it's collecting donations, putting raffles together, selling tickets, or promoting events, my friends know that they can always count on me. I wish my younger self would have realized how one night of drinking and driving could change my life forever. I hit rock bottom, but I held my head high and have tried to rise above. I do fully regret my decision that night, but it made me become the woman I am today. I do not hunt, nor have I ever had the desire to, but my family is extremely active in our local trap club, the Heart of Wisconsin, which is just a mile down the road. For years, I have watched my family shoot trap, but I want to be able to join them and be on the family trap team. As you can see, I'm an extremely active person in my community. I feel like my felony charge is just a black cloud hanging over my head. In fact, when applying for this pardon, I did not ask friends, family, or business associates for any letters of recommendation because I am so deeply embarrassed by my actions. I just want this to be a part of my past for my own health and well-being. Thank you all so much for giving me the chance to talk with you guys this morning.
Thank you, Ms. Sawyer. I want to open it up to questions from the board, but before we do, I just want to note one of the reasons you listed in your pardon application for seeking a pardon is to be able to vote. And we get this question not infrequently where people mention this. And I just want to let you and anyone else watching on Wisconsin Eye know that in Wisconsin, you are generally eligible to vote as a felon once you have completed your sentence. So once you're off paper, out of incarceration and completed any extended supervision. So while we can't give you legal advice, would encourage you to look into your ability to vote because most folks in Wisconsin can do that even as convicted felons.
And I actually did find that out after I put
Oh,
that
great.
in.
Fantastic. Okay.
Because my my other thing was so for traveling, and then I also found out that a pardon does not help for traveling to Canada. It might look better, but you still have to do more work on that end too.
Great. Okay, let's open it up to other questions from the board. I saw a couple hands. Judge Kremers.
So can you talk just for a minute or so about the actual crime you were convicted of? What happened that night? What did you do?
As from what I remember, because point blank, I was drunk and stupid. I was out with my boyfriend and friends, and I left to go to another bar with a group of friends, left the boyfriend behind because there was people that showed up there that I did not feel comfortable with. And apparently when it was time to leave to go back to pick up my boyfriend, I did not like that idea. And I left. I have no idea where I was driving. I have no recollection of any of it.
So you don't remember fleeing from the police officer?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Other questions for Ms. Sawyer? Reverend Hancock?
In your application, you mentioned that you are the designated driver for your friends. How do you maintain your sobriety?
Just I maintain it because I realized what it did to my life. I don't want to mess it up anymore. I'm thankful that all I did was get stopped by the cops. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't hurt anybody. And I just keep that in the back of my mind that it can change people's lives so fast that it's not worth it.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? No.
I guess I have one more. They're not required, unless I missed something here. They're not required, but they are encouraged to include letters of support with your application, but you didn't submit any.
Correct. I felt uncomfortable asking people. It was my mistake and my goof up, and I wanted to be able to try doing this on my own without having to ask people. There was lots of people that I could ask. I just didn't feel comfortable asking them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sawyer. I appreciate your time with the board today. As I mentioned in the beginning, you're welcome to sign off the Zoom. You don't need to hang out, but appreciate your time and your application.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Ryan Stoltman. Mr. Stoltman, are you with us in the Zoom? There we are.
I am. Thank you. I'm Ryan Stoltman. Back in 2011, September, I was out with some friends at a bar. When I left, a cop went to pull me over. I was driving a little erratic. I panicked. I was 21. I took off running. Took a couple turns, got away from the cop, went home, went to bed, and woke up to a cop at my house. Since then, I obviously had the felony charge. I got 7 days in county jail and then a little bit of probation. Since then, I started in the injection molding industry, and I have started climbing the ranks through Straighten Energy, and I'm working my way up through the management ranks now. I've also become a licensed foster parent for Washington County. I've adopted 2 kids out of foster care. Currently have 1 foster placement. And for me, I mean, I eventually want to be able to take my boys hunting and all the stuff I can't do right now. That's pretty much my speech, short and sweet.
Thank you. We'll see if the board has other questions for you. Noble?
Yes, Mr. Stoltman, is that correct?
That is correct.
For an eluding charge, it may not appear at times that there's a direct victim if no one is hit or hurt or harmed. But could you discuss how this act poses a risk to the community?
It does, because when you're driving drunk, obviously you don't have full control of the vehicle no matter how you feel. I mean, drinking alters how your body reacts, how you control stuff. There's a huge risk with what I did, and I regret my decisions taking off from the cops. Yeah, it's a huge risk. I could have crashed. I was lucky not to.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cindy?
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Stolman.
Good morning.
We have a couple of other law enforcement contexts that I want to ask you about. 2008, it looks like you were convicted of a misdemeanor disorderly conduct, which was domestic violence related. Can you talk about the circumstances surrounding that?
I can. That was between me and my stepfather after I turned 18. I grew up kind of rough household, and when I got bigger and 18, we got into an altercation. I fought back, ended up leaving the house. He ended up calling the cops on me.
Was he injured in some way in that?
No injuries.
Okay. And then looks like in 2016, you had an OWI.
I did. And went out. Honestly, I didn't think that I was over the limit. I got pulled over for a burnt out license plate bulb. I didn't take off fleeing. I pulled over right away as soon as the cop turned the sirens on. Ended up blowing a .11 and getting an OWI.
Okay.
Since then, have not drank and drove a single time.
Okay. I was impressed with the letters of support you had and the foster parent thing you've done. And I thought in your application, we don't always see this, but you expressed the recognition of the danger you caused to others. So I was impressed with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Reverend Hancock?
Just another old business question. In 2007, you were charged with misdemeanor sex with a child, 16 or over. Can you talk about that?
I can. What happened there was I was 18 and the girl was 17 and a half. We were 6 months apart. Her parents found out and didn't like it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, Mr. Stoltman, thank you so much for your time this morning and your application materials. I appreciate it and hope you enjoy the rest of your morning.
Thank you. And thank you all.
Next up, we have Tyler Lash. Mr. Lash?
You hear me?
We can.
Okay, I'm getting my camera going here too.
Take your time.
Oh, it should be coming up. I'm kind of new to this computer stuff. Cannot start your video. Host has asked to start your video. Okay, here we go. All right, there we go. All right, I was convicted of fleeing an officer in 1997 when I believe I was 18, possibly just before I turned 19 at the time. And I had been out with friends and had a few drinks, and I, obviously being underage, panicked and took off and made it home and was awoken by police officers later that night, or I believe it was early the next morning, and was charged. I ended up with 10 days in jail, 2 years probation, fines, loss of license, I believe, for a year, along with, I believe I had to take alcohol counseling. And let me see. Since then, I completed my probation with Mark Joswick, got married in 1999 to a woman I'm still married to now. We've purchased 2 homes. I quit a factory job that I had for 12 years and went to school for a trade in machine tool maintenance, so I can travel and work on machines in businesses. Right now I'm currently at Storm Foods in Manawa. Before that, I was at a couple of different sawmills in the area, and Tyson Foods here in New London. I was there for 6 years. And in the last 12 years, I've had 2 children, moved to a new house, much bigger, nicer place, bought land, 100 acres. I've had a steady job, I've been a functioning member of society. I'm not a violent criminal. I've never been charged with any violent crimes. I guess I'm looking to get my gun rights back because my children, who are 10 and 12, both are showing an interest in hunting. I've taken them bow hunting, which I can do, and they would like to start using firearms, and it would be nice for me as a father to be able to teach them and also to relearn, because I guess it's been 28 years since I was allowed. Other than that, I really don't have much, except for any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Lesh. We'll open it up to the board. Questions from the board? Cindy?
Good morning, Mr. Lesh. Couple of other law enforcement contexts I want to ask you about, okay?
Yes.
2009, you had a misdemeanor disorderly conduct. Can you tell us the circumstances around that?
Yes, I still lived in Manawa at the time, and I walked home from a tavern because I knew I had too much to drink, and got in an argument with my wife. And I was out in the garage, she was in the house, and I was throwing wrenches and stuff at my car. So it wasn't involving her. She just called the cops because she couldn't calm me down. And so I got arrested for that. And I do believe we got that dismissed. I don't remember what happened with that, if I was found.
Yeah, it looks from our records that you were convicted of it.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember how that turned out, but yes, it was violence against a vehicle, and it's just the fact that she couldn't calm me down.
Okay, appreciate that. 2017, it looks like you had an OWI.
Yes, I did. That was right here in New London. I pulled over immediately and was very, very polite and did not cause any problems. I pled guilty to, I got an attorney. It got drug out for a long time, but I pled guilty to, I believe it was prohibited blood alcohol, and paid fines, and lost my license, had to go through classes. And also after that, I took voluntary courses too through my employer.
Okay. So you mentioned hunting and with your children. How would a pardon change your life? I mean, you're fully employed, you're married, you own land, all these things you've told us about today. What would a pardon do for your life?
It would just be a big burden off my shoulders that has been with me for 28 years. And, it would be nice, like I said, to be able to teach my children what I was taught as a child, how to safely handle firearms, and be able to sit with them and experience them getting a deer like my parents got to with me.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions from the board? Noble?
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
As I've asked one of the other applicants in regards to eluding a police officer while driving, at times we look at this as that there's not a direct victim. Could you talk about how you pose the risk to people in the community when this was going on?
Yes, I could have easily hurt somebody other than myself or an officer. It was very lucky that as soon as I got out of the city limits, they pretty much stopped the pursuit. So I started going in the country towards where I lived in the country with my parents at the time, and just took back roads after I knew they weren't behind me. I slowed it down and just got home, and the power of the radio is always faster than the power of the car. And I was caught later after the incident.
Right, thank you.
I am glad that there were no accidents and nobody got harmed.
Okay. Thanks again.
Yes, thank you.
Other questions? Mr. Welch, just one from me. Our court records show that it looks like you were offered an opportunity to have this charge amended down to a misdemeanor if you were able to be in compliance with the conditions of your probation, but it looks like it was not amended. Can you tell us about what happened there?
I believe I missed a court date, and my attorney, who was at the time, my attorney passed away, and I was never given the information that must have gotten sent to him. So I know I missed a court date, and I have tried to get this amended a couple times and to no avail. So now I hired an attorney and he got me started. I believe this process, I probably sent my application in close to 2 years ago, and it's been a slow process, but I'm hoping, and I'm grateful that I'm getting the opportunity to do this call with you and answer any questions you may have. You know, and I look forward to hearing back from you one way or another. Just to know.
Thank you, Mr. Latch. Understand. Any other questions from the board? All right. Well, thank you for your time then this morning and all your application materials. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday.
All right. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Next up, we have Travis Keeler. Mr. Keeler.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Travis Keeler. I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to speak today. I was convicted in 1997 for arson of a building. I was out with a bad group of kids. We were out road tripping. We pulled over. We found the shed that we opened up, and I lit it on fire. For what reason? I have no idea. I didn't know the owners. I didn't. It was just a bad thing that happened, and I took full responsibility for my actions. I felt horrible for what I did. I was sentenced to 5 years probation, 120 days in jail. I had work release. I worked 200 plus hours for our community church. Since my conviction, I met my wife in 1997. We had our first child in 98. In 99, I went to work for our family business, concrete and rock crushing. In 98. In 1998, we lost a family member, which I had to step up and become a foreman right away. In 2007, the business was sold to another family business in the area, which I have remained employed with them for 27 years of business. Our second child was born in 2006. 2011, I was approached to help run a safe ride program in our area for the Tavern League, Wisconsin. And I ran that till 2021 due to COVID, and it shut us down. 2018, I started a spray foam insulation business with my partner. We have 7 full-time employees. We serve the tri-state area, working with many contractors and businesses, donate a lot of money, time to our community church benefits, Habitat for Humanity, and our local schools. Why this is important to me to get this off my record is something I did when I was very young. Was with the wrong group. we all make mistakes. I've learned from this. My grandfather had started the fire department in Dickeyville. My father was a chief of the fire department for 10, 15 years. Even with all my success I had in my life, I'm still married, 25 years, 27-year-old son, who's very successful. 19-year-old daughter is becoming a nurse. This just weighs on me every day, and to be able to tell my father and my uncles that this is behind me. Living in a small community, you know, everybody judges you, and you know, I just love to be more involved with the community with this behind me. I just regret what I did, and just I'd like to move on. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keeler. Questions from the board? Reverend Hancock.
Mr. Keeler, I have several questions. You've lived your whole life in Grant County, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And the DA, the current DA in Grant County, reviewed your application for pardon, and they support it. How does that make you feel?
Very well. With the Safe Ride program, I actually gave them rides home and the judges rides home, so I got to prove myself that I was capable of behaving. So yeah.
Okay, well, that's great. And it's I've actually spent a fair amount of time down in that part of Grant County with the nuns over at the mound at Cincinnati.
Okay.
So I really appreciate all you've done for that part of the county.
Yes. Thank you.
Cindy.
Good morning, Mr. Keeler. I may have missed it, but I heard you talk about setting fire to the shed, but there was also a cabin.
Yes, there was a cabin involved also, yes.
Yeah. Can you talk about
that was, yeah, within the same area. We did the shed one night, you know, got kind of, you know, in the area again, and then went up and did that one also. So correct.
And what did you specifically do?
Well, I guess you'd say I lit it.
Yeah.
I did do it, yes. Yep.
I mean, as a homeowner now, you must.
Oh God, if this happened to me now, I'd be furious. But yes, I take full responsibility for what I've done. So
You also were involved with others in damaging what's estimated at 5 to 15 road signs.
correct.
What was the motivation behind that act?
Just not being responsible, just out having fun, I guess. But yeah, that was all part of that whole timeline, you'd say. So just with the wrong people and trying to fit in, and just didn't work for me.
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting to hear you say with the wrong people when you're the one who actually set the fires. Maybe the other people think they were with the wrong person.
Correct. Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board? All right, Mr. Keeler, I just want to follow up on something that Reverend Hancock said. He noted that the current DA supports your application. I actually think it's one DA ago, and I just want to mention it because the current DA, I believe, shares a last name with you. I'm not sure if you're related, but I just want to clarify that for the record, it was the DA before that. So obviously, probably had a few since 1996, but that input was from 2022.
Okay.
So with that, we'll thank you for your time this morning and hope that you enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mark Culbreth. Mr. Culbreth, we're ready to hear from you.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can.
Thank you. Good morning. I appreciate this opportunity to hear my story, please. My name is Mark Callbreath. I'm 61 years old. Well, I'll be 61 years old in May. And my criminal activity was back in August 2302. I was operating a vehicle, which I was driving a little faster than normal. I was going to a house looking for my children, and I kind of sped a little bit, and the detective noticed my speed. He made a U-turn, got behind me. I panicked. I was on probation at the time. I was scared what I was going to lose, and I drove home. It was like 4.6 miles. I didn't hurt nobody, but I knew I was wrong for that. They had sirens and flashing lights. I should have pulled over, but I didn't. I got to my home, turned my car off, acknowledged the commands, which they told me to throw the keys down, step out the car, in which I did, and laid on the ground. After that, I got arrested, went downtown, got booked. Next day, I seen the judge, Judge Donald Joseph, and I had a public defender, which was okay, but the state prosecutor accused me of not seeing my probation officer, that I was running from him, not seeing him. And I asked him, when was this? And I asked the lawyer, can you find out about this information? And he said, let her talk. I said, well, no, because I just see my probation officer a week before this happened. And I excused myself to the judge and raised my hand up and asked him, may I speak, please? And he said, yes. And he said, what can I do for you? I said, well, the prosecutor is not telling the truth because I see my probation officer a week before, like August 14th or the 15th of that date. And he took a pause and checked, and he told her, yes, he's telling the truth. And then he said, I thank you for giving me the opportunity. You gave me the opportunity to the utmost respect in my courtroom. I said, well, thank you, sir. And because he was about to sentence me to 3 to 5 years. And he only gave me 120 days, 4 months. And I was blessed with that. But then I got revocated from my other case I had before that, and I had 9 months stay, which I completed because I got in contact, Deputy Cleveland got in contact with me with a program called a DRC program, Daily Reporting Center, and I accepted that. And the next day from there, I went to my programs down to CCC on 10th and Highland, and the program was on 20th in Wisconsin, which we report down there in the morning. We stay almost all day and go back to our CC's unit. I completed all that, and then I got early released, and I got released in May of 03. Yeah, May of 03. And after that, I moved in with a friend of mine and lived in this basement. And I started working on side jobs, lawn care services, painting houses, just to make enough money to get my IDs and my social security card so I can get some work and go to a temporary service and start working for a temp service, which I did for Grady's Foundry. I stayed there for a few months. And then I started working at Octopus Car Wash. I stayed there for a whole year. I was making $5.15 an hour at the time. And then I moved up to sales clerk. And then I made a little bit more money. Then I stopped there and I went to another foundry. It was called Badger's Alloy on 51st and State. Stayed there for a year, worked real good. It was a temp service, and I got hired. And then it was so much cancer stuff going on in there, so I was trying to move up to a different place. So I found a wax foundry, which was a little bit better, and I stayed there for about 6-7 months, and because it was closer to my home. And then I had went to read the paper, and I seen an ad in the paper, my old job, Jefferson Ace Hardware, which I like hardware work. And I walked in there, put the application in. Rick Jefferson said, yes, I'll think about it. By the time I got home, he called me, said, when can I start? I said, how about tomorrow? He said, great. So I started working there part-time. 2 years later, he asked me to go to school for small engine repairs, outdoor board. I said, yes, sir, I will take that. I went to MATC, got my certificate, worked there 7 more years. And then the Department of Public Works called, and because I applied for that, and I've been working there ever since. I started in 2014 of April, and I've been there since now over 11 years. I got married in 2012, my third wife. And we've been together ever since, doing well. We had little problems back in 2015. We had an incident where we had a little big argument and everything, and I caught another case, and I felt guilty for it. And let's see, we decided, I'll go to my, I went to these classes, the Wiser's Choice class hang on, please, prevention of, I had a paper right here. Excuse me for a minute. There's batteries of prevention counseling. And I did all that for like a few months, went to all the classes, AOAD classes. I got a letter, I got certificates, everything I graduated from. And let's see, and everything went well after that. And like I said, they put me on 2 years probation. I cleared all that out. So right now I'm doing fine. I just I purchased a house in 2021, the one we're in now. I purchased that in 2021, and we was happy for that. And then my mother was getting ill a few years after that, and she lived so far away. So I had to figure out how to get another house. So I did that also. I purchased another house in 2024, and I put my mother closer to me. She's only like maybe 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes away. She's like I'm on 72nd and Sheridan. She's on 72nd and Thurston. So it's walking distance. My mother's 88 years old. She will be 88 years old March 14th coming up this year. And she has congestive heart failure, kidney problems. She's getting old, so I have to be there for her. Like every morning I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, make her breakfast, get her medication going, see what she needs. Then I get ready to go to work. And then I come back at noon for lunch hour, make sure she get her medication, get her something fed, and so on for dinner. Make sure she get all her doctor's appointments and things like that. And the community work service I do around the neighborhood, I do a lot of cleaning, I do a lot of lawn care service for people.
Mr. Culberth, I don't want to cut you off, but I just want to know, we have quite a bit of your history in the application. So will you just wrap up with anything else you think we need to know in the next 30 seconds or so, and then I want to open it up to questions.
I'm sorry. Yes. I think that's about all I can say. I'm just trying to get this party and for myself and my family to grow more. And I like to open a business of cleaning, janitorial cleaning service, which I like. And I want to make my mother proud of me, because she's so happy when I told her about this. And I want to make her very, very proud. She said it'd be the best birthday gift she will ever get. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Culberth. Questions from the board? Judge Kremers.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You mentioned that you're married to your third wife right now. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And the other two, I know in your history you have a number of domestic violence related convictions. Are those with other wives as well? Yes.
Most of the time, the first wife, we had a little situation, and my first wife got killed. She got shot 6 times. And that was back in February of 1990. We were separated at the time, and a guy she was dating, and he was on drugs. And
I'm only interested really in your conduct.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir. Yes.
And then you had a second wife.
Yes.
And you had some convictions for domestic violence with her.
Yes, me and my second wife, we had a lot of toxic relationships going on. There was a lot of drinking and things like that. And I told her, it's not going to get no better. And she was younger than me. She was 6 years younger. But I do admit it. We did have some issues, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board? Noble.
Yes, Mr. Carver, if you've probably heard the other ones, I've asked a question in regard to eluding an officer in a vehicle. Could you talk about the risk you pose to the public in eluding an officer in a vehicle in an urban setting?
Yes, it was very, very ignorant of me. And I know because I see it every day because I work for the Department of Works and I see a lot of speeding and going on and crashes and everything. And I know I could have hurt somebody very bad. That I was just under the influence, like I didn't know what I was thinking about. I was 30 years old at the time. I had things going on in my life, but it was ignorance. And I take full responsibility of that. I should have just pulled over, stopped, and took my consequences as a man. And maybe the officer would have gave me a ticket and I would have moved on and I could have been not going through the situation right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cindy?
Yeah, you may have covered this, Ms. Colbert. I apologize if you did. Do you still work for the city of Milwaukee?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Great. Thank you, Mr. Colbert. Appreciate your time this morning and wishing you a good rest of your Friday.
Thank you. You have a blessed day.
You as well. All right, our next applicant is Peter Yarn. Mr. Yarn, I believe I saw you in the Zoom. Mr. Yarn, I see your square in the Zoom, but if you're speaking, we're unable to hear you. It looks like you're still muted. All right, Mr. Yarn, we'll go ahead and come back to you and someone will reach out to see if we can troubleshoot any tech issues we might be having. In the meantime, we'll move on to our next applicant, which is Monty Jackson. Mr. Jackson, are you with us?
Yes. Hello.
All right. Hi, Mr. Jackson. We're
Hey,
gonna hear.
how's it going?
It's great. Before you start, I just want to note, Judge Kremers will be recused from hearing your application as he was involved in your original case.
Okay.
But if you are able to turn your camera on, we're ready to hear from you.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, how's it going?
Great, thank you.
Okay, my name is Monty Jackson. My case is 2 drug and firearm convictions from 30 plus years ago almost for one, and the other one I believe is almost coming up 30 years ago. I was convicted of selling drugs. I was in my late teens, early 20s. My first conviction, I was given a state sentence with probation. I violated that, didn't take it for granted. Was convicted again in the second case, 1995. I was charged with possession with intent to deliver. Judge Kremers resided over my case. He sentenced me to 17 years in prison, but he also gave me a chance to do boot camp once I completed a certain amount of that time, which was I want to just say I was thankful for that because I'd done 6 years in prison. Then I was able to go to boot camp. In boot camp, they taught me a lot of things as far as becoming a man and accepting responsibilities and just doing the right thing. So I completed that in 6 months. I graduated, completed my high school diploma. I came home 2001 of December. I've been home since. I completed my parole time. I maintained my employment. I worked several jobs in the beginning, but then I actually got a job with the Piggly Wiggly company and became their inventory control specialist for almost 15 years. And I decided to leave that because I was convinced from my daughter, who was a supervisor at the post office, and was like, hey, come to the post office. Benefits is good. And so since then, I've been at the post office almost 5 years now. I'm a homeowner. I own multiple homes. I put this application in over 2 years ago. Well, almost 2 years ago. And since then, during that time I put the application in, me and my daughter started a nonprofit organization for Safe Haven of Hope. It's a nonprofit we advocate for the well-being of safety and well-being of neglected children and abused children. We provide education, training, shelter, so stuff of that nature. But as far as with the crime that I committed, like I said, I was young. I was just, it was that time of the late 80s and early 90s where drugs was real big, and I wanted to fit in, and being naive and just dumb during that time, it was a bad decision. Like I said, I've been home now almost 24 years now, and just trying to do the right thing. I got my kids is grown, my kids done finished college, so now I'm grandkids. I'm, the pawpaw, and I'm just trying to teach them that there's a better way than what's out here in the streets have to offer. And that's pretty much, you know, what's going on in my life right now. Why I deserve a pardon or think I should get a pardon. I think that, the wake up call Jeffrey Kramers gave me during my sentence, with me being so young, and, I still had a chance to grow and become the man that I am today. I'll be 54 St. Patrick's Day. And I'm just thankful that I'm still here. I'm still around, and I'm just making a positive impact on my grandkids, because I want them to, become something. It's a lot out here that they can do, and I'm just trying to steer them in the right direction. I've lost my brother to drugs in 2018. COVID came. My father had it, didn't know he had it. He gave it to me. We both were sick at the same time. I recovered. He didn't. He was the 11th person in Wisconsin in 2020 of March to die from that. So, I'm just trying to do the right thing. And, with a pardon, I think it gives me the ability to show my children and grandchildren that if you put your mind to it, you can just do whatever it is that you want to do. I just want to just have my full citizenship back, and, just be able to just live my life. I'm older now, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. We'll open up to questions from the board. Before we do that, I just want to comment on one thing you listed in your application. You may have heard me say this to another applicant. You listed one of the reasons that you'd like a pardon is to be able to vote.
Right.
In Wisconsin, even if you're a convicted felon, you are generally eligible to vote once you've completed your sentence. So once you're out of prison and off of paper. So would encourage you to look into that, because it seems like you would likely be eligible to vote.
Okay, thank you.
But with that, let's open it up to questions. Cindy, I saw your hand.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Jackson.
Morning.
So, a lot of people go to boot camp. Not a lot complete boot camp. So, congrats. I'm sure it was tough.
Very tough.
And then, that was smart because it allowed you to, of course, reduce your prison sentence significantly.
Yes.
But then you also had an early discharge from parole, which not a lot of folks get that opportunity. So it speaks to how well I think you accepted the opportunities you were given and made the most of it, really.
Yes.
But it leads me to a puzzling question I have.
Yes.
So as part of the application process, it's not required, but people are encouraged to put in letters of support for their application. And you didn't submit any letters.
And reason being is because I feel that, that's a good thing to do. But I think as me becoming the man that I am, I'm able to speak for myself from the heart and let you guys know, how I've changed and what I've done. Now, I had an opportunity, like I said, I'm a mail carrier, and one of my customers is the retired Michael E. McCann, district attorney. I talk with him, and every day he meets me by the mailbox, and it's just I could have had the opportunity, but I want to speak for myself.
Yeah, and I respect that, and I just want to say for yourself and others who are perhaps watching, it's helpful for the board to hear from your neighbors and friends and family and coworkers and others to supplement your statement to us today. So I would just, it's done is done, and I'm recognizing all the good things you've done, and I appreciate your explanation. But I'm just saying, as a board member, I appreciate people
Oh,
that extra information, because it just supplements what we see in what in your application and what you tell us. So I'll end my soapbox with that. But thank you for
I appreciate that. Thank you.
okay.
Reverend Hancock.
Mr. Jackson, I have a couple of questions for you. The DA's office in Milwaukee County, who reviewed your application, supports your application for a pardon. Now, the governor will make the final decision, but how does their support make you feel?
It feels like, they haven't given up on me, especially, 30 some years ago. I was young, and, I'm not going to use that as an excuse, but, I made those decisions. I was punished for those decisions, and I've grew out of those decisions. So, with them supporting me, I appreciate that very much. Like I said, I lost my brother to drugs, and that kind of hurt me because I was a part of that, and that's something that I can't forget. So, but I appreciate that support, and I'm thankful for that.
Okay, I want to ask you about the crime. I know it's been 30 years ago, but when the police came to the house where you were living, they found marijuana, cocaine, and 2 guns in the house. What else was going on in the house where that all went down?
Well, it was just selling drugs out the house.
Was there also a daycare center in the house?
No, it wasn't a daycare was it a daycare? It was a daycare that was about to open up. I believe. It was a daycare. No kids there except for my daughter, who was there in the house during that time, her and my niece.
Okay.
And my daughter's 36 years old now, so and she was 5 then, I believe.
And 17 years in prison is a long time for this kind of offense. Why do you think you got 17 years in prison?
Because as Mr. Kramers said to me, that I took it for granted the first time that I was given probation, and I didn't use that. And during that time, it was a lot of drug raids. There were a lot of kids getting killed about drugs and stuff during that time period. So I believe he just wanted to set an example with me, but at the same time, still give me a chance to make right of myself. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Jackson? All right. Thank you very much for your time today, Mr. Jackson. Appreciate it.
One more question. Oh,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just could you guys just tell Mr. Kramers that I appreciate, the advice he gave me, and I thank him very much.
We will.
You guys have a great day.
It sounds like it had quite an impact. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. All right. And I believe, Mr. Yarn, we've sorted out your technology issues, so we're ready to hear from you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
We can. We can't see you. Are you able to turn your camera on?
I'm trying to, let me see. It says start my video. Let me see if it'll do it. You got it?
There we are. Yep.
Well, good morning. My name is Peter Yarn, and I was convicted of drugs, selling drugs, over 22 years ago. Since that time, I came home in 2003. I've been employed through the Port of Milwaukee with Kinder Morgan and also with FMT, Logitech. Well, the name's changed now, it's Logitech. And, I'm looking for a pardon because I'm trying to advance in the company. So I wouldn't like that erased off my record to advance more in the company.
Was there anything else you wanted to say as your opening, Mr. Yarn? Otherwise, we can open up to questions.
No, you can open up the questions.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Board members, questions for Mr. Yarn? Cindy?
I'm all for it.
Good morning, Mr. Yarn. Sorry to disappoint you. I want to talk about just another law enforcement contact you had. 2017, it looks like you had a restraining order granted for 4 years with a firearm restriction. It was domestic abuse related. Can you tell us what circumstances led to that?
You said with a firearm?
Restriction. You can't, yeah, I mean, that's.
Okay, well, I couldn't have a firearm.
No, you didn't have a firearm, no.
Okay.
Okay.
No, that was me and my girlfriend had an argument at the time. And so she was mad at me. She accused me of cheating. So she went down and got a restraining order against me and didn't want me to live there anymore.
Okay. And that's now expired and you've had any other contact with her or?
No.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Noble?
Yeah, Mr. Yarn, could you just tell us how this pardon would improve your life?
I'm sorry, excuse me?
How would this pardon improve your life? Why are you asking for the pardon?
It would help me advance in the company of Logitech right now to oversee 40 guys working down. I'm at work now. So I'll be a supervisor. That's what I wanted to do in Logitech to advance. I just wanted that off my record. So, because every time they do the background checks. So that's what's stagnating me from advancing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions for Mr. Yarn? Reverend Hancock?
Mr. Yarn, were you present in court when your girlfriend got that restraining order?
No.
Okay. I'm just curious about why your girlfriend would have asked for a restraining order to prevent you from having a firearm, because as a convicted felon, you cannot legally possess a firearm. Was there a firearm in the house that you were sharing with your girlfriend?
No.
And beyond, hopefully it's opponent number 1474.
If I would have made it to the courthouse, if I would have made it down there, they would have tossed that out. It wouldn't even have been up. The restraining order would have been tossed out. I was at work at the time.
Okay, thank you. Sounds like you have a call you need to answer.
Any other questions for Mr. Yarn? All right, then Mr. Yarn, we'll let you get back to work here. Thank you for your time today. Appreciate you talking with the board.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have James Topper. Mr. Topper, we are ready to hear from you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can, you're a little quiet, Mr. Topper.
What's that?
You're just a little quiet. Are you able to get closer to the microphone?
Never done any of this, so yeah, excuse me.
That's
Can you
okay.
hear me now?
That's a little better. Yeah, and we can see you.
Okay.
So we'll turn it over to you.
What's that?
We'll turn it over to you to answer those 3 questions if you're ready.
Oh, okay. Yep. I was convicted in 1992 for a drug conviction. I did 3 years in prison. Well, I did 10 months. I got a 3-year prison sentence. And everything was good in prison. Parole officer was excellent. I had my job waiting for me when I got out. I worked for a little while and then I had to quit. My grandpa got sick. He was dying, so I took care of him. And then after that, I worked again for about a year, and I had to quit that job because my mom got sick and I had to take care of her. So I've always had a job all my life. I've never not worked. Ever since I was old enough to walk, been working with my grandpa on the farms, and then I got a job in another job that was full time, and I worked there for a year and I quit. I got another really good job in the cities. It was an hour and 20-minute drive, but that job was probably the best job I ever had. And worked there 10 years till my health got bad. And then everything has been downhill since then for my health. So I had a massive heart attack in 2014, right on the table in Regions. At 15 was good, but the rest of the years, I had 2019, I was supposed to go in for a simple surgery, and it wasn't simple. It turned out major, and I lost part of my memory. So there's things I cannot remember. And other than that, I've worked hard of my whole life. I've grow a big garden every year and give to the disabled. And we got neighbors that are disabled, and I help them out. And at the end of the year, they usually come over and I'll help with taking care of the vegetables, and and then I hand out whatever they want, stuff. But other than that, it's been 33 years. I think I've had the sheriff at the time. He wrote up a good report. The DA wrote up a good report. There's community members. Out of all those people, there's only one that's still alive, and that was the DA, which is, I think he's a federal judge now, or something. It's Peterson out of Dunn County. And other than that, I think if you got the sheriff standing writing good letters, there's got to be something good. And he's only lived a few miles away from me, so he'd stop in and talk once in a while and just see how it's going and everything was good. So we had a good relationship. So that's about it. Got any questions?
Thanks, Mr. Pepper. I'm sure we do. So why don't we open up to questions from the board? Cindy.
Morning, Mr. Topper.
Morning.
When you committed the offense, you were 26 years old, and then you did your prison time, came out, and then in 2003, close to 40 now, you were convicted of misdemeanor possession of amphetamine LSD. What was that about?
2003?
Yep.
Of what?
Misdemeanor possession of amphetamine or LSD.
Well, there's no LSD. I've never ever touched that stuff.
Okay, amphetamine.
I can't remember if it was 2003. I'm sorry. It seemed like that was later or something. I'm not really for sure.
Well, what were
there was something with that, but I can't remember what that was about. I'm sorry. I know there was something, but I can't remember. I can't even remember who the lawyer was or where it was at. I'm sorry.
Well, you were charged and found guilty of a misdemeanor offense. Do you remember what you did?
I'm sorry. When I lost my memory, I lost a lot.
Okay.
That I know there was something with that, but I thought it was a lot later, the year. I'm sorry if it was 2003. I was thinking it was later, but yes, there was something. I remember there was something about that, but I can't remember. I think I was on probation, right? Is there something about probation? I think I had my same parole officer. I think for a year, maybe. Not really for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I was convicted of something.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Judge Kremers.
Oh, Mr. Topper, did you win a handgun in 2023 at some kind of a Whitetails Unlimited gun sweepstakes?
Yep.
What'd you do with that?
I gave that away. I gave that to a friend of mine. He's disabled, and so I let him have it. So everything was in his name. He went down, and I went with, and I made sure that everything just went to him. And I don't know what he did with it, but that's all his. As far as I know, he's still got it.
All right.
But right now, he just lost his wife in December, and then he had an attack, so he was flown by helicopter, and then he went to Bloomer after there, and now he's living with his daughter. I keep in contact with him, but he's in pretty bad shape yet.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from the board? Mr. Topper, I don't think that we covered this, forgive me if you mentioned it, but it looks like you had a couple of domestic abuse charges in 2010. Could you tell us about what was going on there?
Yeah, that the cops even chewed me out on that. They haven't said they ain't seen me in 20 or 30 years, whatever it was, and he said you need to get rid of her. And she was, every time I went to sleep, she'd call the cops, and the cops were there, and they never seen any marks. I said, I've been sleeping. You woke me up. I said, I don't even know what's going on. And she was kind of a nutcase, but she was living with a guy that she had a kid with, and they would get big fights, and then she would call me, and then I would go get her, and then she'd stay with me for a while, and then she'd end up just going off. She needed to be on medication because she had bipolar, and she wouldn't take her medication, and when she'd go off, she'd call the cops. But I had talked to the cops. Cops all knew everything. I've never ever touched her, anything like that. She would just go crazy. So I got rid of her, and after that, everything was good.
Okay, you were convicted of a disorderly conduct though, as part of at least one of those incidents?
Yeah, I think I don't think I was even in court. I think I had a Fran Rivard was my lawyer, and he just called me and said he took care of everything. So I didn't even go to court then. You know, he said he took care of it before our court date and everything. So
did you plead guilty?
I'm sure that's whatever he did, it was okay with me. So if he pleaded guilty, that's what it was, just to get rid of the charges and get rid of her, and that was it. So cops are all happy when I got rid of her. she called them a lot for no reason, and they always came, and I was sleeping all the time. So.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Topper? All right, thank you very much for your time this morning, Mr. Topper. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll do this, Cindy.
Next up, we have Donnie Reed. Mr. Reed, we are ready to hear from you. Mr. Reed, are you with us in the Zoom?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh,
you hear
okay.
me?
We can't see you. Are you able to turn your camera on?
What's the extra start? Okay. Let's see, can I turn it on?
There we go.
You see me?
Sure can.
I can't see you guys.
Oh, well, I don't know how to help you with that, unfortunately.
Excuse me?
Are you on your phone?
Yes.
Try swiping to the right. I think right.
Oh, okay. There we go.
You see us now?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can hear you that well though.
Okay.
How you doing? My name is Donnie Reed, and I made a terrible mistake in 1998, and I was convicted for a drug charge. It's been 26 years. Since then, I've been a law-abiding citizen. I currently live in Illinois. I live in Aurora, Illinois. I've been here 8 years, going on 9. I was born here in Illinois, in Chicago, Illinois. Back in '99, I made a terrible mistake of asking a friend that was on the block
to loan me some money. He didn't have it at the time. He was out there selling drugs, and he suggested me to, take the drugs to get the money that I was asking him for. And I did that, wasn't thinking consciously, I was just thinking about the money. And I did that. It was so happening to be an undercover cop. I sold him the drugs, and then I had a warrant on my name. And I went to prison for 10 months. I had a 16-month sentence, and I did 10 off the 16 months for my first felony ever. Pretty much, I have 3 kids and 7 grandkids, and right now I'm asking for this partner to better my life. Meaning, by me living here in Illinois, I'm trying to open up a liquor store, and so in order to get that, I can have a felony over my name. Illinois laws is real strict on felonies as far as that type of business. And right now I'm doing it for my grandkids. I'm trying to start generational wealth from them. They still live in Wisconsin. I still have my kids live in Wisconsin. I comes up there to visit them on holidays and stuff like that. And I do have siblings up there as well. Prior to my release from prison, I've been trying my best to steer a straight line. Can you hear me?
We can,
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So, and at the same time, I would like to see the world. Certain countries you can't go in with as a felony. So I think I did. I ain't gonna say I think I did. I did the time that I needed to do. It was a very eye opener for me. And since then, that's the only conviction that I had on my name. And like I say, I'm 50 years old. I'm going to be 51 next month. It just seemed like it's been a burden on my head. I've been punished for this crime for 26 years after the fact of me completing everything and going to prison for the very first time. But I took accountability on my action. The officer tried to come to me another time to buy something for me, and I told him I didn't sell drugs, whatever the case may be. And that was when he sent the warrant out for my arrest, and he interviewed me. I claimed I took responsibility, accountability of what I did, and I paid the price. I paid the price. Went to prison for the first time in my life. Prior to after that, I think I had I had a OWI. It's coming out of the bar, and got in my car and put the key in ignition and fell asleep in the car. And the police pulled up and pulled me out, took me to the police station. I had to go to these classes. I finished them classes, and I think that was back in 2008 or whatever. But besides that, I haven't been in trouble since then. I haven't been convicted for anything since then. And like I say, I'm just trying to get this burden off my back, this cloud on my back, and that's why it just feel heavy to have that on your name over your head when I did my time. I did all the necessary things that I needed to do to prove myself and pay back society, and I did that. And I'm just, I just feel that it's time for me to start all over again. And I've been working since I've been living here. Before I lived here, I was working as well. And right now, like I say, I'm trying to open a business right now and get my liquor license and trying to own me a liquor store up here in Illinois, in Aurora, Illinois.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. I want to open it up to questions from the board. I have just one for you to start. I know it was a long time ago in 1998, but our records reflect it was $10 worth of cocaine that you sold at Cover Cop. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the board? Cindy.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Reed. You may have heard me ask a couple other applicants this, but as part of the process, it's not required, but letters of support are encouraged for the application. And you didn't submit any letters of support for your pardon application. Can you tell us why not?
Well, well, people that that's in Wisconsin, um, they not quick to participate in things of that nature. I don't know what the reason, because I didn't ask a couple of people, and at the end of the day, I just felt that, you know, me being like the other guy was saying, I'm just gonna be sincere and be real about the situation, take accountability of myself of my action 26 years ago. I know it would be good to have someone, and but like I say, I was out when I put the paper in. I'm live here in Illinois, so when I put the paper in, you know, it pushed the process back, because I had to find people to actually, you know, come on my behalf. Because like I said, I have a cousin that had a social club that worked that did charity work like breast cancer. I walked with her, and I should have used her, but at the end of the day, she's not doing that no more.
Thank you.
Reverend Hancock.
Mr. Reed, the
Yes.
Milwaukee County DA's office reviewed your application for a pardon, and they support your application. Now, the governor will make the final decision, but how does the DA support make you feel?
That's a joyful feeling to hear the DA is recommending me to have this a pardon. I guess they see that the mistake that I made, I learned from it, you know. And at the end of the day, you know, everybody deserves a second chance of something, you know. And I think they feel that I need to have a second chance, because I could say to myself, I'm not a bad person, you know. I'm not
Okay.
no criminal.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Reed? All right, Mr. Reed, I think that covers it. Thank you so much for your time with us this morning, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And that was our last applicant of the first morning session. We will pick back up again at 10 o'clock with a second group. I'm just want to let everybody in the Zoom know the live stream will stay on while we take this about 8-minute break. So please mute yourself, turn off your camera if you're doing anything, taking a break, whatever. We will pick back up at 10 o'clock. Thank you.
update.
Right, good morning, everyone. I'm just going to ask board members to start making their way back to being on camera on the Zoom, and we will get started in just a minute here. All right. We've got most of our board members back, so I will get us started here. My name is Mel Barnes. I am the governor's chief legal counsel and chair of the Pardon Advisory Board. I'm going to go through a couple of housekeeping items about how this morning's hearing will run with all of you, and then introduce my fellow board members, and we will get started hearing from our applicants. So please be aware that this morning's hearing is being live streamed via Wisconsin Eye and YouTube. So we'll ask you to keep your camera off and yourself muted until it's your turn to be heard by the board so we can focus on the person that's speaking. If you do have any IT issues with the Zoom, don't worry, someone from the team will reach out to you and help you troubleshoot. If we need to come back to you because Zoom isn't cooperating when it's your turn, we can absolutely do that. Otherwise, we will hear from folks in the order listed on the meeting agenda and open meeting notice. Each person will have 5 minutes with the board. We'll ask you to spend the first 3 of those minutes speaking to the questions that we sent you in advance of today's hearing. So as a reminder, those are to provide us with a brief summary of the offense you're seeking a pardon for and how your sentence went. We're not here to retry the crime. You don't need to minimize anything. We just want to hear from you in your own words about what happened. Second, we'll ask you to provide a brief summary of what you've done since the completion of your sentence, community involvement, employment, essentially where you're at now in life and how that's different from the time of your offense. And then third and finally, we'll ask you to provide a brief statement about why you're seeking a pardon and why you think the governor should grant you one. Once you've spent about 3 minutes on those topics, we'll open it up to other questions the board may have for you. Don't read too much into it either way if we do or don't have questions. Sometimes everything is covered in your application materials. We have spent quite a bit of time with those. But if there are things we need more clarity on, we want to make sure we get to those so we can make a thorough recommendation to the governor. Once the board is done asking you questions, you're welcome to sign off and enjoy the rest of your day. And then once we've heard from all of our morning applicants, the board will meet in closed session and decide whether or not to advance your application to the governor. So you need a majority support of board members present in order for your application to be forwarded on to the governor, who will then make a final decision about whether or not to grant your application for a pardon. Either way, you'll hear about the outcome of today's hearing in about a month or a month and a half. So we'll ask for just a little bit more patience from you. We know it's been quite a long road to even get to today's hearing, but thank you for giving us the time we need to make a thorough recommendation. So with that, I'll introduce my fellow board members and we'll get started. With us today, we have board member Noble Ray, who served with the Madison Police Department for nearly 28 years, including as chief of police from 2004 to 2013. He also led the U.S. Justice Department's Policing Practices and Accountability Initiative and provides racial bias training for law enforcement agencies around the world. We have board member Nadia Perez-Reyes, who is the Deputy Secretary for the Department of Children and Families. She previously worked as a state public defender and an attorney for Legal Action of Wisconsin. Board member Cindy O'Donnell served as the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Corrections under Governors Thompson, McCallum, and Doyle. She also served as a division administrator for AGs Lautenschlager and Van Hollen. Board member Judge Jeffrey Kremers is AG Call's nominee to this board. He served as a Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge for 26 years, including as chief judge for 7 of those years before retiring in 2018. And finally, we have board member Reverend Jerry Hancock, who is the director of the Prison Ministry Project. He previously served as a public defender, a deputy district attorney, and as an administrator for the Department of Justice's Division of Law Enforcement Services. Those are your board members. We are eager to hear from all of you. First up in this second morning session, we have Jimmy Smith. Mr. Smith, we are ready to hear from you.
Can you see me?
We can, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jim Smith. I live in Tomahawk, Wisconsin. About 15 years ago, I did something stupid. I sold a few pills, Oxycontin. And of course, I got caught. That's why I'm talking to you guys. Stupidest thing I ever did. I admit it now. And I got 3 years probation out of it. I got 90 days in a county jail. I served my time. I paid my fines off. And I'm a logger up here in Tomahawk. My family were loggers. And so I've been, for the last 15 years, I've been working. And, you know, I raised my own family now. And I got 5 grandkids that I'm proud of. And I guess the reason I want is to hunt with my grandsons. I've hunted with my dad and my brothers, but they all passed. And I got this on my shoulder, this felon, and I would try to get it dropped if I can. It's just, it hurts when I go to the woods. And my grandkids are like, "Grandpa, can you hunt?" And I gotta tell them no. I gotta tell them the truth. And it bothers me. So that's why I reached out to you people to help see if I can get this felon off my record. In the last 15 years, my wife and them guys will go on vacations. I can't go certain places because I got this felon on me. And I had a little grandson here now. He's 7 years old, and he just got a kidney put in because he was on the list for the last 5 years. And now he's doing better, and now he can hunt too and go fishing and all that good stuff. I just like to be a part of his life. It was the stupidest thing I ever did. I think back why I did it. It's just stupid, I guess. It's just, you know, I made a little money on it. Not a whole lot, but I was unemployed at that time because I had a logging accident. I had rods put in my back. And I had to put food on the table for my family. And I know it was wrong. It was very, very wrong. And I think about it every day, believe it or not. With God hitting me in the head, it was the stupidest thing I ever did because I was never a troublemaker. I quit drinking. I never was a big drinker, but after that, just decided enough is enough. I'm gonna, turn over a new leaf and do the right thing from now on. I haven't been in any trouble at all since this happened. I just like to go places with my family, like to do things with my family. They're my life. I'm going to be 60 years old. Well, a lot of my brothers passed away at the age of 60, and I'm going to be 60 here in a few months. And I just like to spend time with my family and then work. That's all I do now. I don't bother nobody. If somebody needs help with something, I'm more willing or whatever to help them out. And I do that a lot. People look at me a lot different than when I was younger. It's just totally different when you got something on your shoulder and like I said, you like to do the right thing, and that's what I've been doing. Like I said, that was a stupid mistake that I made. If I can go back in time, well, you can't because you already done it. But I did my time. I did my, what I was supposed to do, and I cleaned my act up 100%. So.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. We'll open up to questions from the board.
Yes.
Judge Kremers.
Good morning, sir. How long were you selling the drugs for before you got caught?
Well, like I said, I'm not going to lie to nobody about it. It probably went on for about 5 to 6 months.
All right. And the police had information that you were also exchanging drugs for sex.
That did not happen.
You know why they thought that? Or where they got that from?
Tomahawk's a small town. And when people get caught doing what they're doing, like I did, and they'll make up stuff. Now, I'm not saying it to cover me 100%. You can put a lie detector on me and ask me them questions, and I will pass them. That never happened. They questioned me about it, and that never happened.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board? Reverend Hancock.
Mr. Smith, are you on any pain medication now?
Absolutely not. Ever since this happened, I still go to the doctors because my blood, I got high blood pressure, and I do have blood clots, and they put me on a Elquist for that. But when I have pain, I take Tylenol. You guys can look up my doctors and ask them. I do not take any of that stuff anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board? All right. Thank you, Mr. Smith. I think that covers it then. I appreciate your time this morning and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys for listening to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mrs. Yolanda Surveyor. Ms. Surveyor, are you with us in the Zoom? There we go.
Yes, I am.
Excellent. We're ready to turn it over to you.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Yolanda Surveyor. I'm 62 years old. And I had my daughter at the age of 24. And I was working at First Bank Milwaukee, and I had took a maternity leave, and after maternity leave, I failed to report my income that I was receiving while I was on maternity leave. I received 5 years on probation through Judge Geske, and the 5 years on probation went so well because I worked for the Milwaukee Public School System that I only had to go see her once a year, check in once a year, and drop once a year, because I had a lot of police contact with my job, and I didn't do anything. I don't drink, smoke, don't do no drugs or anything. So they worked it out with me where I could come in once a month. They put me on an additional year because all the money wasn't paid back. So within that extra year, all the money was paid back in full, and I received a receipt saying that the money was paid back. Also, in 1997, I had a son, and I left MPS in 2001 because he was ADHD and had a few more emotional problems. So I had to deal with him. And in 2014, he was killed on his way walking home from school. And so that kind of left me like in the middle of nowhere at a certain time. So at that time, I was just existing. I wasn't living, I was just existing. So I want to go out. I applied for several jobs, but the felony on my record stopped me from getting the jobs that I wanted. I like to continue to stay in security. Sometimes you have to be bonded, and sometimes you have to have no felonies on your record. And so at this time, after being on a convicted felon for 34 years, I would ask that the board would consider me a pardon, because at the age of 62 and the things that I went through, I'm ready to live. I want to go find me a part-time job or a job where I can fill out the application, and me having a felony would not stop me from going further in life. I follow the rules that I'm supposed to follow, and I'm just ready to live. I mean, I'm 62. I just turned 62, but consider losing a son and taking off from work and still receiving money from the state. I just want to live and go find me a job that I like to do without a felony continue to hold me back after 34 years.
Thank you, Ms. Surveyor. Questions from the board? Judge Crummers.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. So you had this felony conviction 30 some years ago, and then it looked like you had a little hiccup in 2015. Well, it's not a hiccup, it's a criminal offense. You got convicted of retail theft. What happened there?
My son got killed in 2014.
Right.
And a couple friends came and got me and asked me, let's go to the store. I was under the influence of medication, which is Xanax. And I guess when we got to the store, I'm not familiar with what went on because I don't remember. They said that there was some stealing in process that was going on with the two young ladies, and I was with them. In other words, I was guilty by association. And they said I did certain things and everything. So when I went to court and talked to the judge about it, the judge said, we can kind of figure it out. And I said, no, since I don't remember, because it was right after my son's death. Matter of fact, the next day after the death, we had went to court. They just didn't bring it up to 8 months later, I guess. But I pleaded guilty to it and paid all fines and haven't heard anything from Waukesha, and they haven't heard anything from me.
Okay, thank you.
Reverend Hancock, do you have a question? Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of questions. Ms. Surveyor, the district attorney's office in Milwaukee reviewed your application for a pardon, and they support. The governor will make the final decision, but how does that support make you feel?
You really want to know?
I really want to know.
I feel brand new. Because after 34 years of not being able to do what I wanted to do as a woman, I'm so grateful.
Okay, well, the governor will make the final decision, but you did get a vote of confidence from the DA. Was your nephew also murdered?
No, his mother was.
Oh, okay. And then we got a very unusual letter from a woman named Danielle Rogers. Do you know her?
Yes.
Because she says that she first knew you when she was in high school, and you were the security officer at the high school?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, she wouldn't go to class. And every time I go to a different floor, she was on the floor. And I like, would you go to class? He said, you can't tell me what to do. So I got on her level and I became like a godmother to her and started helping her out with some of the situations she was going through. And right today, I talked to her this morning. She said, Mama, you got it. I'm her mom. Ever since that day I met her at Juneau, I've been her mother.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Other questions from the board? All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Surveyor. I appreciate your time this morning and hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Oh, definitely. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Lonte Gibson, who I saw in the Zoom. There you are, Mr. Gibson.
Good morning. My name is Lonte Gibson. I'm 48 years old. I was convicted of a felony bail jump in 2001. Since then, when I got released from prison, I'm a general contractor. I'm trying to open an adult assisted living with my wife, and also I have seven children. I have 5 girls and 2 boys. I've been married over 20-some years, and I'm just trying to get over, just trying to do better for myself. Be around my children. So, like certain things I can't do with my kids at school because of my background being a felon. I can't participate in my son's activity, my daughter's activities. And also I'm trying to be a funeral director or a mortician. So that's the reason why I'm looking to, get my felony off my record.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. I imagine we have a couple questions for you. I've got one to get us started, which is the felony that you're convicted of and seeking a pardon for here today is bail jumping.
Yes.
Notice that the offense that you were out on bail for at the time doesn't appear in your record. So were you not convicted of that? crime,
No,
Robert?
I wasn't convicted of that crime. Yeah.
Okay.
No. Yes.
Thank you. I
Okay.
just want to make sure it's right.
Yes.
Questions for Mr. Gibson from the board? Cindy.
Good morning, Mr. Gibson. I just want to follow up with the chair's question. So originally you were charged with armed robbery.
Yes.
So you ended up pleading guilty to 2 counts of bail jumping.
Correct.
In your application, you talk about the armed robbery being dismissed, but what did you do? What were your behaviors that led to you pleading guilty to 2 felonies?
The reason why at the time when the victims got you know, they seen me in the store and they found out that they said I have nothing to do with it. That's how I got, and I, you know, mentioned it to the judge. I wrote a letter when I was in jail, and you know, talking to the judge that I did, you know, I didn't do this stuff. So, and by me contacting the witness, that's how I got the felony bail jumping. That's how they convict me, because my case was a felony. That the armed robbery is a felony, and then they convicted me off of the felony case for the armed robbery. That's how I ended up with a felony bail jumping.
For having contact with witnesses.
Yes.
You said it. Okay.
I
Thank you.
saw him in passing at Walmart at the time. I still remember this clear as day.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Gibson? No? Okay, short and sweet. I think that covers it, Mr. Gibson. Thank you so much for your time today and for all the application materials that you put in. I think that that covered a lot of the questions we otherwise would have had for you. So you enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, thank you. Thank you too.
Okay, next up we have Mr. Nathan Fraction. Mr. Fraction, are you with us in the Zoom?
Yes, I am.
Excellent.
Nathan Fraction, 43 years of age. In 2006, I was convicted of possession with intent. So the truth of the matter with the story is the house was raided. The police was searching for a different individual. They wasn't even looking for me. But I did have drugs in the house. So I am guilty for having drugs, but I didn't get caught in the act. They was looking for another individual. They raided the house. They found the drugs. I went down for it. I had an attorney. I had the opportunity to take it to trial. And honestly, I gave up because it wasn't even about me at that point. It was my mom, honestly. Excuse me. You know, I felt like I was wearing her down with the case. So I just agreed to a plea. And I did a couple weeks in the county jail. Was 6 months in CCC, like a Huber work release. 3 years on paper. I had to do 100 hours community service. I've done all of that. I have got with a group of individuals that we kind of started doing like back to school giveaways, like anywhere from 100 to 200 book bags, school supplies, barbecues. And we would have like attractions where like it'd be a softball game, basketball game or something, just giving kids something to look forward to every year. We did this quite a few years. I went to school to get my business management degree. I've done that. I ended up working at the Boys and Girls Club, just trying to be hands-on with the youth, the kids, and you know, I'm a big advocate for just showing the right way, because I can truly say that I was influenced by my environment that made me even want to be in a position to sell drugs, right? I didn't get caught selling drugs, but I was still dealing. And you know, I'm big on that right now. Just, you know, it's a better way. And I am in the process of right now trying to create I have it formed. It's called Young Ballers Development. It's like a mentorship program for kids. My son is 11, he's playing. So it's really like a 9 to 13-year-old age group that I'm trying to launch towards the end of the summer. So right now I'm preparing and gearing everything up. And it's just about being hands-on with kids and trying to guide them, honestly, really guide them and steer them in the right direction. So as far as with that 2006 conviction, you know, I just really wanted to be behind me, because I'm still hunted. 19 years later, I tried to recently get a life insurance policy, and I was denied because of my background. And you know, stuff like that hurt. It really hurt, like to the core. And you know, just you can't do much. You limited as an individual. You kind of like, I'm putting so much good back into the world. You know, the list goes on. Like I'm constantly helping and helping and helping, but it's just like you got to get over that hump somehow, some way. And I'm just like trying to figure it out, and that's why I'm here. You know, so this 2 years wait has been like a ticking time. You know, just waiting for this day to come, and we here, and I've just asked that you guys like see it in my favor to remove this off my name, because like the attachment.
Sorry about that. Go ahead, Mr. Faction.
Oh yeah, so it's just haunted me for a very long time. You know, 19 years later, and it's, you know, I just want to move forward in life and be clear of being associated as a felon. You know, like you just can't do nothing. Like it's a humbling experience. It has been. You know, just to know, like, you apply for jobs. That first year I was convicted, I applied for like 60 jobs, and just being denied. And you know, when people ask you that question in the interview, you're a felon, you have to say yeah, like in shame, right? Like, yeah, regardless of what you did it, but you know, you feel ashamed, and you can just see the response on people's faces, and you know, just like it take a toll on you, especially when you're trying to put yourself in a different position in life, move forward. And it's like, it's just you reminded like you did wrong, and it's like, okay, I did wrong 19 years ago. Like, how much longer are you gonna hold me down? You know, and yeah, so ultimately, you know, I just do my best with my kids, like seriously, like hands on with my kids, just like showing them like a man how it's supposed to be, what to do, what not to do, and just like all my nieces and nephews, just I'm extremely hands on. So this is like why I'm asking to be free of this felony conviction. I just want to move forward in life and just kind of pursue greater opportunities.
Thank you, Mr. Faction. I want to open it up to questions from the board. Board members, Judge Cromers.
Good morning, sir. I have two questions. One, in 2017, did you have a domestic violence temporary restraining order placed against you?
It was a situation where like, this is like my honest first girlfriend, 3 kids, my oldest 3 kids. We grew apart and didn't know how to end the relationship. And so when we had to appear in front of the commissioner, he asked her, can you provide dates and timestamps of anything he's done to you? And she was truthfully, and she said, I don't have any. And the commissioner asked, why are you here? And she just flat out told him, like, I want us to be done. Like, this is the only way I can separate. I need to put some in place so we separate. They asked her if she was okay with me still having contact. And she was like, I don't have a problem with him calling, texting, coming to the house. I just don't want a relationship no more. I want us to part ways. You know, it got ugly, you know, like 15 years, 3 kids, we lived together. That was our first relationship. And, you know, you're dealing with emotions. You trying to figure it out, but you don't have people to really like coach you in a sense. You know, I don't make excuses for absolutely nothing, but me and her to this day, we're very cordial. My kids are grown. You know, I have a daughter going into senior year. My youngest was 3 going into senior year with her. Like, if we see each other out right now, hey, we crack jokes. I literally just went to her grandma's birthday party a couple weeks ago. She was there, no issues. It was just, we grew apart and nobody wanted to sit down and have an honest conversation. And, you know, people do petty things, you know, you do being spiteful to each other, you know, not to like harm nobody, but that was her way of really putting an end to it by getting a restraining order, really. And that kept us apart, you know, so, and that's what it was, really.
Okay. And here's my second one.
Okay.
As I read your application, unless I have mixed it up, you seem to be saying in your application, you seem to be saying this wasn't me, you know, they just found an ID in a drawer, and I don't know why, you know, I got charged with this. It wasn't me. You're basically denying responsibility for this. Today, you have taken really full responsibility for the drugs that were attributed to you. You even said something, I mean, I heard you say you were dealing, but you just never got caught dealing. All of that I find very refreshing, that you're taking responsibility. I'm just wondering what happened between when you drafted this application and said, you know, you weren't guilty of it, to today at this hearing where you're saying you are. How'd you make that change?
You know, it's one of them things, again, you know, you just move forward, right? Like you just want to move forward. I want to be free of all of this. So it's like, I was dealing drugs, right? Like I didn't get caught, but you know, you can hide the truth for so long, or you could just be honest, you know, and just hope for the best outcome. And right now, you know, accountability is all on me. You know, I'm not perfect, but I've learned a lot. I've learned a whole lot about life and how to move forward, and that's pretty much what it is. So if I projected something different in my application, I do apologize. You know, again, 43 years old. My whole goal right now is family first, and I got to direct my kids in a certain way, and that's the guy I am today. You know, so
Thank you.
yes.
Any other questions from the board? Nope. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Frection. Appreciate your time this morning and hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Nice to thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next up, we have Neil Monarchy. Mr. Monarchy. Mr. Monarchy, are you with us in the Zoom? All right, we will come back if he is able to join us. In the meantime, we will go on to Robert Green. Mr. Green. Robert Green, do we have you with us? All right, we've got a couple of unnamed phones and stuff like that. So if someone is able to hear us calling their name but having tech issues, please chat. One of our support staff will reach out to you if you're just having trouble getting unmuted. Let's see, Jalal Al-Kaidi. I know I saw you in the Zoom. Mr. Al-Kaidi.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Apologize.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I think we've got two of you now. Mr. Al-Kaidi, we're gonna go ahead and hear from you. And then we will come back to our other applicants.
Okay, good morning. My name is Jalal Al-Qadi. I came to USA, to this country, on the 4th of July of 1993. I came for a master's degree in English language and literature. And we needed help, like financially. So I had a friend of mine here. His brother was in Arizona, and he helped us open a store in the south side of Milwaukee. Couple months after, undercover cop showed up. We didn't know he's undercover. Sold us some food stamps. And it was a bad decision. It was ignorance, and I know that they say ignorance is not an excuse. But we didn't know much about anything. We're fresh in this country. I didn't know anything about felony or fraud. Anyway, it went for court, and I was found guilty, and I had to plead for 2 counts. And I served in House of Correction for 2 months, I think, 2 or 3, and then 4 years probation and $6,000. They had to garnish it from my wages. I worked in a warehouse after that for 7 years. And I was done. Since then, I got married. I have 4 kids. I have my own house. My dad and my mom passed away. I am more involved, like, since, not even since then, but from before. I always love people and around people. I like helping people, helping others. So I'm involved in the community here more often in the mosque, and reconcile between friends and families and members that have disagreements. I have my own business now. And the reason that I want this off, I just feel that it was all, I don't know how to say it, but it was a mistake, but not fair. Like if it was a misdemeanor, even at that time, it would have been enough to show me that it's wrong. The way that it went, I learned after that that this was a sting operation in Milwaukee, where they had 80 stores at that time, and some of those stores are maybe 20 years of business. We were there for a few months. Most of them went for misdemeanor, and they signed off to go out. The way that it went with me, with the officer that was undercover, again, maybe it's part of me, like making friends with people and making it made him more comfortable to keep coming back and forth, and maybe he can get more to catch more people from the community from me. And so he did come back and forth like 5-6 times. So that's why it became all what they needed at that time from each store is a transaction of $100, and then it's a case. In my case, it went 5-6 times, so it was 5-6 counts. So I had to plead guilty. My attorney kept telling me that I'm a criminal every time, so he changed his and to explain to me how much criminal I am. He said, if you go, because they noticed that I'm not understanding how much fraud is or felony, or he said, you know, the one that robs a bank? I said, yes. Said that you are worse than him, because that guy robbed a bank, you robbed the government. So it is what it is now. Maybe at that time, if I knew better, maybe I would have went for a jury or something, but it's already done. It's what, 32 years already. It did affect me already with being with my kids on their field trips, and going with my friends, like field hunting or here and there. Traveling now, since I am close to one time I went to get a taxi, it was denied. So now I have real estate and Boost Mobile. I've been in cellular business for 12 years, and I am trying to get into different businesses. Like I have furniture, I have cell phone, and I have real estate, but I am trying to get into daycare and healthcare and home care and stuff, and Uber sometimes, maybe if I get my move. So I just want it off. I mean, basically, I want it off my back and my life. It's not something that I am proud of to be on my name, or I like to be connected with my name. I don't want to keep mentioning it and keep saying this story over and over and justify. And it's a mistake. Yes, we accepted that at that time. It was wrong to do it, and it has to be like a punishment or a price, and we paid the price. But I feel it's time to, I mean, it's up to you guys and to the governor. I thank your time and your effort to do that for us here, or to listen to us even.
Thank you, Mr. Al-Kadi.
Thank you.
Questions from the board? Yes, Reverend Hancock.
Mr. Al-Kadi, when you realize what you've done, you went to the police on your own?
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, because I don't want to take much of your time, but there is so many details that it was just unfortunate. Let me just make it quick. We opened the store for a few months, and this salesman, big white guy with t-shirt, he comes in with t-shirts and hats, that he's a salesman for t-shirts and hats. And he said, I'm here to help you promote your business. I can print your name on the t-shirts and hats, and this is much. So we did order like 10 shirts and 10 hats, and he came in the next time. I was not in the store one time. So he came to my friend that his brother opened the business for us. And he opened a case, and the case has stacks of food stamps. So he's telling him, what is that? He said, this is food stamp. Do you think the t-shirts and the hats will make a business? This is the real money. Well, how do you do that? He said, we sell it for, let's say, $1.70 or stuff.
Right. Mr. Al-Kadi, we saw that part of your application. What I really wanted to know is what you told the police when you turn yourself in.
Okay, when he get, long story short, it got for visits. We bought from him some food stamp that day, and then kept coming the next day and after. And then he start making it bigger. He said, like, since we're talking and I'm saying I have friends that have dealership, I have family, I have here. He said, I want you to buy me a car for $4,000, and then I give you $20,000. When I heard that, I said, exactly like, oops, like, I noticed that I am dealing with gang here, or a big, or said, okay, the very next morning, he's bringing me $20,000 in a bag. And he said, I need the car. I said, okay, I will try. He kept asking me every day. It went for 5-6 days, for a week. I brought a car one day. I borrowed a car from my friend. He said, oh, okay, I'll take it. I said, but it needs to be registered. Now, I don't need what to do. Because he mentioned after that, even after this car, you're going to bring your guy from Chicago, and I bring my guy from Madison, and we go in a helicopter in Wisconsin, and we do the $1 million deal. So I noticed I have to do something. Like, I don't want to be involved in this. So I took the money and I went to the attorney, and I said, I need to report this. I have $20,000. The guy is coming to take the car tomorrow. He wanted to call the DA. I said no, because in my background, in our country, like, the DA always is the one that executes people or whatever. I said, I need the police. So he called the police. I'm giving the police the money. I said, here is the money, and the guy is coming tomorrow morning, and he wants to do this and this and this after. They said, you bringing us $20,000 of food stamp? I said, yeah, and he's coming tomorrow morning. They said, did you pay anything for it? I said, no. But anyway, the next morning they came and they arrested him. Later on, we know that it's a sting operation. That's why they wanted things to keep going smooth. And that's why at the end, it was 5 counts. And I feel in the court, I don't think my attorney took enough time to defend this point. I felt that the DA at that day mentioned that to the judge briefly, and my attorney was telling me to plead guilty for 2 and waive like 3 or 4. So I did plead guilty for 2.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Al-Kadi. That was the point I wanted to hear about. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for your time this morning, Mr. Al-Kadi. I appreciate everything you submitted to the board, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Bye.
Okay, and then I believe we have Mr. Neil Monarchy on the phone. Mr. Monarchy, is that you?
Yes, can you hear me now?
And yes.
Okay. Oh, no, you see me now too?
Yes,
okay.
Perfect.
Okay, excellent. Hello, my name is Neil Monarchy. I am from Wausau, Wisconsin. I am 45 years old. In 2001, I sold some marijuana to a confidential informant. And so in 2002, I was sentenced to 6 months in jail with work release. During my work release, I participated in ADDICT. And then as soon as I was arrested, my work offered me counseling through the HR program. So jail went okay with work release. But it helped me stay focused on work. And then 2005, my wife and I got married, we bought a house together, and we had our first child in 2005. So 2005 was a pretty big year. Since then, my wife and I have celebrated our 20th anniversary. We have 3 boys, and we go lots of family vacations, hunting, stuff like that. I participate in the Wausau Area Youth Soccer Club, mainly because of the boys. I'm involved with the scouts, basketball, and t-ball, volunteer for coaching and reffing and stuff like that. So work really scared, or I mean, jail really scared the crap out of me. So I didn't want to be messing around, dealing marijuana, smoking marijuana, hanging around with people that were doing that. So my whole, the girl I was with at the time, we broke up, and I got a whole new group of friends, which I've already known my wife for 5 to 6 years at this time, but I didn't know she was going to be my wife in 2005. So that worked out pretty good. I don't believe, as far as like, I deserve a pardon. I don't believe I deserve one. I've been doing pretty good without one, but since then, since my pardon, my felon, I've been doing lots of hunting anyway. I've always was a big outdoorsman, fishing, hunting, all like that. But since my arrest, because of that, I was not able to do gun hunting. So I took up bow hunting, but my kids are always coming with me doing bow hunting and stuff. And they ask about gun hunting and stuff. And I tell them the truth that I can't, do all that stuff. So this is probably the main reason I'm asking for a pardon, because I don't think my kids should have to miss out in like the gun hunting stuff because of something that I did 23 years ago. And I'm trying to look over my notes here. I'm sorry, I got some notes, but yeah, that's pretty short and sweet, I guess.
Thanks, Mr. Monarchy. We'll see if the board has other questions for you. Board members? Cindy.
Good morning, Mr. Mackey. I have questions. The first, and you may have heard me ask other applicants this, it's not required, but the board encourages applicants to submit letters of support for their application, and you did not submit any letters of support. Can you tell us why not?
Mainly because I was just my parents really looked down on me for this, so I try to get support for them, even though my recovery throughout the years has been really well. It's just that my dad was not a very fan of me getting involved with the drugs, so I felt ashamed to ask him for support. And as far as, I don't know, just being involved with my raising a family and working and everything like that, I guess social interaction to try to get support letters, I don't know, I didn't feel it necessary, and I just felt ashamed too, I guess. A lot of people don't know about my felon, and then they'd ask me why. I would, ask for a letter of recommendation, and I'd tell them why I had a felon. So it's just, I try to avoid that, I guess.
Okay, thank you. My second question, it looks like in 2024, you had a non-criminal carrying a concealed weapon in Columbia County. What was that about?
Oh yeah, because I am a hunter or whatever, I've always had a pocket knife on me, even since the conviction or whatever in 2002. I could have a knife on me. So when the officer asked me, because I allegedly ran a stop sign, he asked me if there were any weapons in the car. I told him I had a knife on me, and he gave me that charge. And then I was later found out in 2016 that the statutes changed for a felony where you couldn't have a concealed carry weapon anymore. And I was not aware of the statutes. I don't really keep up on the statutes. I'm just trying to be the family guy and point my kids in the right direction. And I wasn't aware that I couldn't have it on me. But when I pulled it out of my pocket, he gave me that charge, and I was like, oh, okay. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? All right. Oh, yep, Reverend Hancock.
In that same traffic stop, you were also there found marijuana in your car?
Yeah, I had two other individuals in a backseat. We were attending like a musical event, and one particular person I haven't seen in a long time. So on the way down to Madison to this event, I stopped in Point and picked him up. During the stop, the officers asked him if anything else was in the car, and he fessed up and said he had marijuana on his person. So he then received a fine also, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Monarchy. Appreciate your time with the board today and hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. Let's see, Mr. Green, Robert Green, do we have you with us in the Zoom? Okay, I don't think we've heard from Mr. Green, so let's go ahead and move on to Mr. Robinson, James Robinson.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, I might have to excuse me because I'm still in the dialysis office. I'm waiting on my ride, so I might can do this all the way through, or I might not. But I'm still at dialysis. I'm waiting on my transport van to pull up.
Okay.
I just got the machine.
Go ahead and get started. We'll just try to keep our questions
real quick. I had a whole thing to my paper to bring, but I left it on my nightstand. But quick summary of first of all, hi, good morning. I'm kind of nervous too about this because I'm really nervous. A little about my story. I had caught my case back in '99. I was picking up a friend and didn't know that person had drugs on them. And I'm nervous. I don't know where to begin. I had my paper and everything all written out of what I wanted to say.
That's okay, Mr. Robinson. Would you prefer that we just ask you questions?
Yes, please.
Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit, you said it was in 1999, tell us a little bit about your offense. You sold $10 worth of cocaine to an undercover cop. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
The person that I had in the car with me at the time, we both was riding. We both was riding around. We didn't have no money for that. She had some drugs on her, and she had some drugs on her, and she seen someone that I guess she knew, and find out to be an undercover cop, but she thought it was just somebody she knew, and she wanted to get a couple dollars for some gas. And by me being on the driver's side, I handed it over to him and to the undercover cop. And before we can pull off, the officers and them pulled up on me, and that's how we got caught. Yes, I knew it was wrong. Yes, I knew it was drugs. And sorry, I thought it was my ride. Oh.
Okay, and after that, Mr. Robinson, we see in your application, it looks like You attended anger management, parenting classes. You've completed some tech college work as a mechanic, some volunteer work and things like that. Can you just tell us a little bit about how your life is different now than at the time of your offense?
I'm older. I'm more mature. I want better things in life now. I have a few kids that I have custody of. My kids are older now, so now I'm looking to get back out in the workforce. I want to do traveling. I want to do truck driving and other work, but I can't do those type of jobs without without certain things on my record.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Robinson. And then looking at some other law enforcement contexts, wanted to ask you about. It looks like
Excuse me, I'm sorry, 1 second. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I got to keep looking out for my pen or they're gonna leave me.
Yeah, of course. Just wanted to ask you about some other law enforcement contexts in your record. It looks like there are a couple of contexts about domestic abuse. Could you tell us a little bit about what was going on there?
Me and my wife freshly married. We both was young. We both was getting used to being married. Some things we didn't understand, some things we wasn't agreeing on. It was just mostly that. It wasn't really no physical contact. Just mostly disagreements, arguments, and just sorts of things like that. No violence.
Okay. Other questions from the board? Cindy.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Robinson. So the district attorney opposes your application for the pardon and notes that you've had numerous referrals to the DA's office in the past 5 years for offenses, many of which involve firearms. Can you comment on that?
Yes. It was my son been in the car with my sons. Had firearm at our house. We didn't know anything about, but we're no longer in contact with my son.
So all of the firearms belong to your son during these incidents?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
My sons are no longer in my household.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else have a question for Mr. Robinson? Okay, thank you very much for your time today, Mr. Robinson. We'll let you get back to.
Okay, I'm sorry about this. I had a much better statement and everything I had prepared, but I was running late today, and I almost missed dialysis. I'm sorry. I got to keep looking for my van.
That's okay. We're glad you made it to your doctor's appointment. Don't worry about it. And you were able to answer all our questions. So thank you for that.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have John Matthews. Mr. Matthews. Mr. Matthews, are you with us in the Zoom?
Yes, I am. Sorry about that. I had a hard time unmute my phone.
That's okay. That happens to all of us. So we can hear you. We can't quite see you yet. Are you able to start your video?
Yes, I'm trying now.
Perfect. All right.
There we go. There we go. You would think I would call up to technology by now.
It's, despite years and years of being on Zoom, we all struggle too. So we're not worried about it.
I'm John Matthews. 35 years ago, at the age of 16, I was charged with 2 counts of operating auto without owner's consent, as well as fleeing an officer. At 17, I was convicted of those crimes. I did time in Milwaukee County Jail, transferred to the House of Correction, Franklin. I was granted the Huber for school. I was released right before my 18th birthday. Since then, I continuously kept employment. I took a treatment foster care training class, which gave me a license for that. Also utilized what I learned in that class to mentor young men that may be vulnerable to the negative things in the community. For the last 10 years, my wife and I raised my goddaughter, which her mother, it was her mother's dying wishes. 35 years, I really kept myself out of trouble. No real situations outside of, a speeding ticket. But for the most part, I turned my life over to God. And the things that I took out of the community, one, not using my mind instead of being a leader, following behind the wrong people at an early age, really detoured all my dreams and expectations for myself in life. I wanted to enlist in the military, and because I made a mistake at the age of 16 and was waived into adult court, it took that all away. But I found another way to make it in life and do what's right. And do what's right, as well as put back into the community that I took out of at an early age by helping, younger men navigate themselves into more positive situations. Also, the little girl that I've been raising, my goddaughter, she's part of the Honor Society. She's on her way to college with a full scholarship. I did my best to make sure that she was steered in a direction that I wasn't steered in. Personally, I think I did a very good job. I won that pardon because the irony is I was arrested for auto theft at an early age, and I'm a car salesman. But there's so much I can do in the car business as far as elevating my career. I'm very good at what I do. I've been looked at but passed over for higher positions, management positions, because of the background check, and it happens to be in auto theft. I want to continue on doing this. I've been doing car sales for well over 20 years. I love it. But the main thing is I take full responsibility for everything I did. I don't point my fingers at anyone and blame society for me not using common sense, me hanging around the wrong people. I'm not going to do that. But I also got to see the other side, dealing with customers whose vehicles have been stolen from them, and seeing the impact that it had on their life. The things they had to go without and they couldn't do, and their struggles to get back on their feet because someone stole their car. And for me to be 51 years old and realizing that not only did I change my life, I changed someone else's life, and it wasn't for the better with taking their vehicle. I don't wish that on anyone.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Just want to see if board members have any other questions for you. Judge Kremers.
So you were charged with fleeing and with 2 counts of operating auto without owner's consent, but it looks like from the paperwork that we got, you were only convicted of the operating autos without owner's consent. I don't see a judgment of conviction for the fleeing. Was that case dismissed when you were found guilty of the other two?
I think so. I think so. I looked at the court documents, and it an older printout I had, it was actually there. It was actually on there, but the newer printout, I didn't really see it. But I like to make sure all bases are covered, because I kind of remember. I mean, it's 35 years ago. I kind of remember what happened in the courtroom. It was a. I did. Did you say something, sir? Yeah, I kind of remember what happened in the courtroom, but I tried to pull as much together as far as accurate information for this hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Judge, other questions?
Thank you. No, I'm good.
Reverend Hancock.
Mr. Matthews, the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office reviewed your application for a pardon, and it'll be up to the governor to decide, but the DA's office supports your application. How does that make you feel?
Praise God. Praise God. I think
Thank you.
I thank you, each and every one of you, for hearing me out today and giving me the opportunity to meet with you and possibly get a pardon. This means more to me than pretty much anything that's going on right now.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. We appreciate your time as well, and all your work putting together the application materials. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday. Thanks again for your time.
All right. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. I want to do one more call for Mr. Robert Green. Otherwise, we are done with our morning session. Mr. Green? All right, I do not see Mr. Green, so at this time I will entertain a motion from a board member to move into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.85 sub 1 sub A, D, and F for purposes of deliberations concerning specific cases for before the board for the purposes of considering specific applications, financial, medical, social, and personal histories of specific persons. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Cindy, do you have a second?
Second.
Judge Kremers, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed. All right, motion carries. We will move into closed session. Board members, I'll ask for just a moment to make sure that we turn off our live stream and get everyone back to the waiting room. Okay, looks like we have most folks in from the waiting room. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mel Barnes. I'm the governor's chief legal counsel. Oh, sorry, our live stream is not running yet. Just one more minute. Sorry, folks. Okay, and the live stream has kicked in. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mel Barnes. I'm the governor's chief legal counsel and the chair of the Pardon Advisory Board. I'm going to go through a couple of housekeeping items about the way this afternoon's hearing will run. I'm going to introduce my fellow board members, and then we will get started hearing from all of you. So first, a quick note that today's hearing is being live streamed via Wisconsin Eye and YouTube. So we'll ask you to keep your audio muted and your camera off until it's your turn to be heard by the board so that we're able to focus on the person who's presenting at any given moment. If you do run into any IT issues when it's your turn to be heard, don't worry. Someone from the team will reach out to you and try to get that resolved. If we need to come back to you because Zoom isn't cooperating when it's your turn, we will do that. Otherwise, we will call folks up in the order listed on the agenda and open meeting notice. And each candidate will have about 5 minutes with the board total. We'll ask you to spend the first 3 of those minutes speaking to the questions that we sent you in advance of the hearing. As a reminder, those are to first provide us with a brief summary of the offense you're seeking a pardon for and how your sentence went. We're not here to retry the crime. You don't need to minimize your involvement or anything like that. We just want to hear from you in your own words what happened. 2, to provide us with a little bit of information about what you've done since the completion of your sentence, community involvement, employment, essentially where you're at now in your life and how that's different from at the time of your offense. And then third, finally, a brief statement about why you're seeking a pardon and why you think the governor should grant you one. Once you've spent about 3 minutes speaking to those things, we'll open it up to any other questions the board may have for you. Don't read into it too much either way if we have questions or don't. Sometimes everything's just covered in your application materials, and we do spend quite a bit of time reviewing those before we get to today's hearing. So we want to make sure that the board gets to ask questions if they have them to clarify anything so that we can make an informed recommendation to the governor, because once we are done hearing from all of you, we will meet in closed session and decide whether or not to send your application on to the governor. You need a majority support of board members present in order for your application to be forwarded to the governor. He will then make the ultimate decision about whether to grant your pardon. Either way, you will hear back from the office in about a month to a month and a half from today's hearing. So we'll ask you for just a little bit more patience. And we will introduce board members. Go ahead and get started shortly. Once you're done answering any questions the board has from you, you're welcome to sign off the Zoom. You do not need to hang out until the end. So with us today in the Zoom, we have board member Noble Ray, who served with the Madison Police Department for almost 28 years, including as chief of police from 2004 to 2013. He also led the U.S. Justice Department's Policing Practices and Accountability Initiative and provides racial bias training for law enforcement agencies around the world. We have board member Nadia Perez-Reyes, who is the Deputy Secretary for the Department of Children and Families. She previously worked as a state public defender and as an attorney for legal action of Wisconsin. We have board member Cindy O'Donnell, who served as the Deputy Secretary for the Department of Corrections under Governors Thompson, McCallum, and Doyle. She also served as a division administrator under Attorneys General Lautenschlager and Van Hollen. And finally, we have board member Reverend Jerry Hancock, who is the director of the Prison Ministry Project. He previously served as a public defender, a deputy district attorney, and as an administrator for the Department of Justice's Division of Law Enforcement Services. With that, we will go ahead and get started hearing from our first applicant this afternoon, who is Dwayne Bellinger. Mr. Bellinger? Mr. Bellinger, are you with us in the Zoom? Okay, I don't see anyone coming off of mute. I know we've got a couple of unnamed iPhones here. Mr. Bellinger, if you can hear us, we'll come back to you once your audio is working. And in the meantime, we will hear from Leon McQueen.
Hello, my name is Leon McQueen. I'm 73 years old. I'm here seeking a pardon of a conviction that happened 29 years ago. I've resided in the same township on the 150-acre family farm for 73 years. I would like to serve on the town board as I am familiar with local issues. A pardon would allow me to join my nephews and nieces and their children in regular hunting excursions, which I've been unable to do for the last 29 years. The conviction was nonviolent and there were no weapons, no victims involved. I have supported my nieces and nephews by attending their sporting events over the past 30 years by attending their basketball and football games to cheer them on. I've received 5 signed letters from friends and relatives in support for my pardon application. In 1981, I was employed as a correctional officer at Waupun Prison. In 1988, I received a duty disability award for a back injury at work, which prevented me from returning to my job as a correctional officer. In 1993, I was arrested and convicted for possession of THC, approximately 8 grams, and received a fine. Since my conviction, I have received a degree in real estate appraisal and real estate brokerage. I have maintained an exceptional credit score. In 1996, I met a woman in a bar. She stated she had been evicted from her apartment, did not have a place to stay. I told her she could stay at my house temporarily. I did not know anything about her. A couple of months later, we got into a verbal argument, and I told her she could not stay there any longer. She was a very violent person. I called the police to remove her from my house. The police discovered she was a convicted felon and noticed my hunting guns. I did not know it. I did not know she was a convicted felon. She was arrested for felon with access to firearms. The police searched my house and found a small amount of THC, approximately 15 grams. They asked me whose it was. I stated it was mine and I used it for back pain. I stated to police I knew it was not legal in Wisconsin and only used it for back pain. I was then arrested for possession of THC, second offense, approximately 8 grams. I was convicted and received a felony conviction, driver's license revoked, fine, probation, counseling, and court costs. I have completed all court-ordered AODA assessments, counseling sessions, confinement, and paid all fines. In 2006, I was arrested for third offense OWI. My mother had recently died suddenly, and my father was diagnosed with lung cancer and 6 months later died. I was using THC and alcohol for my chronic pain caused by all the stress. I was convicted and sentenced. My driver's license was revoked for 26 months. I received a fine, confinement, AODA assessments, and 6 counseling sessions. I have completed all required AODA assessments and counseling sessions and paid all fines. In 2006, I stopped using THC and alcohol for my chronic pain. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McQueen. We'll open it up to questions from the board. Any questions for Mr. McQueen? No? All right, Mr. McQueen, just one for me. You mentioned at the beginning that there are no weapons or victims involved in your offense. I do see it as a possession of marijuana offense, and I understand that. But it seems like the police did respond to your residence due to an ongoing fight that, at least per the police report, involved physical violence and some other notable behavior. Could you tell us a little bit about what was going on there?
When the police came to my house to arrest her, she stated that she had a knife and she had fell on my leg with a knife in her hand, and that's how I got stabbed. And the police believed that. And that was where the violence came in.
So this was a physical fight where this other person attacked you? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yes, yes. That's why I stated in my summary that she was a very violent person. There were other incidents that she showed violence.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. McQueen? Reverend Hancock.
Mr. McQueen, do you have any firearms in your home now?
No, I don't have any guns anymore. I had a friend pick them up and he never returned them.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. McQueen. Appreciate your time today and hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday. All right, we will do another call for Mr. Bellinger, Dwayne Bellinger. Okay, not seeing him. We will move on to Nicholas Sachs. Mr. Sachs.
Yep, I'm here. Good afternoon. I'll read my brief statement now.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Excuse me. My dad died when I was 11, and my mom might as well have. Point being, I basically raised myself and was worse off for it. When I was 18, the home I was living in was searched by police, and I was found to have an ounce of marijuana portioned out. Since it was within 1,000 feet of a school, it was in felony intent to deliver. I served my jail sentence and probationary period without incident. Subsequently, when my marriage was at its lowest point in 2009, I got my only DUI, during which a quarter ounce of marijuana was discovered in my vehicle. The prior offense meant being caught with any amount thereafter was an automatic felony. So I've been a 2-time felon the majority of my adult life for a grand total of 1 1/4 ounces of marijuana. I've been with my current employer for over 10 years, and my longtime boss wrote a letter supporting my pardon efforts. Since my convictions, I've undergone extensive counseling, completed 2 associate's degrees, and successfully raised 2 wonderful humans, one of whom is in school to be a police officer. I feel I should receive a pardon because I've long since paid my debt to society and kept my nose clean the last 15 plus years. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. We'll open it up to questions from the board. Cindy?
Good afternoon, Mr. Sachs. You're also charged with a misdemeanor resisting or obstructing an officer. Can you talk about what actions you took that led to that?
Yes, I can. When I got pulled over for the DUI, and as I was being placed into cuffs, the thought that came to my mind, the overriding thought was my kids and just what a disappointment that would have been to them. And, I was frustrated. So as I was being cuffed, I balled my hands into fists. My hands were not fists when I was being cuffed. I am certain of that. The officer immediately, pushed me forcefully against the car and said, open it, real aggressively, open your fist. What are you trying to hide, et cetera, et cetera. And at that point, I responded poorly. I began, struggling, threw myself backwards, et cetera. I was in cuffs. There were no punches or kicks thrown, anything like that. It was just me throwing my body around, for lack of a better term, out of frustration at my own stupidity.
And your sentence for that was 5 days in jail, is that right?
That sounds right. It was a very minor jail sentence. Yes, I don't remember the exact number of days. Whatever I submitted with my paperwork would be accurate because I took the time to research it, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions from the board? No. All right. Thank you, Mr. Sachs. I think that covers it for us, and hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Thank you. You as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Next up, we have Aaron Brown. Mr. Brown?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you hear us?
Yes. How are you today?
Great. How are you?
Good. Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Aaron Brown. I'm a 49-year-old husband, also a father. I'm seeking my pardon for mistakes that I've done in the past. And these mistakes that I have created for myself, I take full responsibility for them to this day. As a young man, I know I had a lot of obstacles. I faced homelessness and struggled to survive without any family support. And that was out of desperation. Once again, I know I made choices that led to my convictions. In this case, for which I'm, seeking to be pardoned. I regret those decisions deeply because I understand that my circumstances did not justify my actions in no way whatsoever. I own my past, but I refuse to let it define my future. So, and after serving my time for my charges and my convictions, I knew I had to do better, a lot better, a lot better, a lot better. I committed myself to change, and God was calling me to help others. When I was denied a chance to be a mentor through a Big Brother program due to my record, it was highly discouraging, but I didn't let it stop me. I found other ways to serve and to volunteer through my church and mentoring young men who needed guidance. One of those young men is my stepson. I raised him since he's very young, maybe around 7 or 8. And I'm proud to say he's now serving in the U.S. Air Force. So I'm very, very, very proud of that. For over a decade, I dedicated my life to helping young men and young adults, young men and young women. Now I want to expand that mission that I'm on by creating a mentorship program for African American men facing homelessness. And also provide them with the skills and resources to build their lives. That's very important to me. However, my past convictions prevent me from obtaining certain documents, fingerprint clearances, and requirements for licensing, as well as it disqualifies me from businesses who would otherwise help for funding. I'm not seeking a partner to erase my past and from the deepest, I accept it, and I've learned a lot from it. But I am asking for the chance to move forward without barriers, and also to continue to give back and to prove that true change is possible. So pardon would allow me to serve my community more fully and ensure that I can give a story and have a story that becomes a lesson on redemption and not just regret. And I can just say thank you for your time and your consideration, also the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Let's see if board members have any questions for you. Any questions for Mr. Brown? Cindy.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brown. So you're involved with a mentorship program called Boys to Men, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, is that through your church or is that something, can you just tell me where it's located and what your level of participation is?
Well, I do a lot of it through the Gethsemane Pentecostal Church out here in Arizona. I live in Arizona now. I've been here since 2010. And that's been my primary church. My pastor there, he married me and my wife. He just passed away, and that's where I've been a member ever since.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from the board? None? Oh, Reverend Hancock, yes. Oh, you're on mute still.
Mr. Brown, it'll be up to the governor to decide if you get a pardon or not. But the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office reviewed your application and they support your getting a pardon. How does that make you feel?
Oh, Mr. Brown, I think you froze for a minute there. Can you hear us? Okay, let's give it just a moment, see if we can get Zoom working.
Many a times I felt that I wasn't gonna make it, and the only thing that I had is just me believing in myself, God, and my wife, and that's it. And that was the only thing that kept me going. I was just, you gotta excuse me. It's a little overwhelming, and I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Brown,
but
let me be clear. Let me be clear. The Milwaukee County DA believes in you. The governor will make the final decision about your getting a pardon, but you have strong support from the Milwaukee County DA.
Thank you. I appreciate it a lot, and it means a lot for me. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and I really appreciate it. I'm at a loss for words, but I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I don't think we have any other questions for you, so thank you for your time today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next applicant is Kalanji's Phoenix, Miss Phoenix. Miss Phoenix, do we have you in the Zoom? Okay, we will come back to Miss Phoenix if she is able to join us later. In the meantime, Scott Harold, Mr. Harold, I know I saw your square. There we go. Hello.
Hi. My name is Scott Harold. I am married with father.
Hang on just a second, Mr. Harold. We'll get this sorted out here. There we go. Okay. Please go ahead, Mr. Harold.
All right. My name is Scott Harold. I'm married father of two. I have two wonderful children. They're 6 and 4. Over 20 years ago, I made some bad choices by hanging out with some bad people, just trying to fit into a small town, and I developed an addiction to methamphetamines. and I committed some crimes to support that habit. I did serve my time in jail and finished my probation, and then started in the construction field. I spent 18 years in the construction field and got the opportunity to be an educator at a local community college. And I ended up getting my degree in carpentry, and I've been teaching there for 3 years. This is my third year. I really enjoy teaching students. I didn't realize that's pretty much what I should have been doing my whole life, is sharing what I've started doing was in construction, the field. I love it. And I like to share, build strong people, you know, through my program. And we partner with the Habitat for Humanity in building homes. And my students really appreciate that. They put a sense into what they're doing, why they're there, you know, and teaching my students to have a future in the trades and make it a career. Like most people aren't four-year degree people there. We need everybody, and having the interaction with the students and making a difference in their lives. And I still keep in touch with a lot of my students that have graduated, and it's not who I am in that past somewhere. And I really would like to have a part in, because I want to spend more time with my son doing outdoors things. I'd like to coach his t-ball. He's going to be t-ball this summer. And I feel like having the felonies is holding me from doing any of those things and helping back with the community.
Thank you, Mr. Harold.
Thank
Let's
you.
just see if board members have questions for you. Reverend Hancock.
No, Cindy, go first.
Okay, Cindy, go ahead.
Thank you, Reverend. Good afternoon, Mr. Harold. So your crimes were all driven by your addiction, correct?
Yes.
And then you say in your application that you did 6 months in the county jail and you went to drug and alcohol treatment.
Yes.
And was that what gave you the ability to move on from the drug use? Did you continue to struggle? How do you maintain it now? I mean, it's just such a stop and go, right? I'm trying to understand.
My family really helped me out in removing myself from that situation. In the town that I grew up in, I had moved out and I had got a job traveling with a construction company. So I wasn't around those people. I left the area, and then I came back, and then I met my wife 15 years ago, and she keeps everything together. She's trained, you know, really, and my 2 children really gave me patience.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate, I was lucky enough to find her. It's just completely random that we found each other. And she really supports, and I have a really good support system with family now.
Good for you, and good. I mean, you started using when you were 15, you say.
Yes.
In your application. So, you know, it's, and meth is not an easy thing to kick. But kudos to you for taking advantage of the opportunities when you had them and moving on. So, and I also note that you had quite a bit of a restitution, $3,500, and you paid that all off as well, which I'm sure took a lot of hard work.
It was a lot of hours. Hours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry.
Are you still teaching at Minnesota State College Southeast?
Yes, and I was recently appointed to be the division coordinator, which helps for the new hires. And they are wanting me to step into union presidency because I just really have a passion for helping people out, and fighting for people. Because people fought for me.
Tell us a little more about Minnesota State College Southeast. Is it a vocational school?
Yes, I teach the construction technology program, and and that means residential construction. We build cabinetry, we pour concrete. We're currently working on a twin home with Habitat Humanity with my students, and we put lower income people. We build homes for lower income people. The first house we ever built was in Winona. First house I ever built with Habitat. It was the first person who ever owned a house in her family. And sure, it was absolutely awesome to see them get to be a homeowner, because that's such an important thing.
Great. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Harold. Appreciate your time with the board this afternoon and your application materials. Hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
All right, I believe we have Miss Phoenix on the line now. Miss Phoenix?
Hello?
Hello, how are you?
Fine, and you?
Great. Were you able to hear the brief summary at the beginning, or would you like me to run through the questions we'd like you to speak to?
I've read through it.
Okay, great. We'll turn it over to you then.
My name is Quan. My offense was deliver illegal article to an inmate. My sentence went well in the jail. I obtained a job like cleaning up and helping with the lunch trays inside the county jail I was in. After being released, I retained my CBRF certifications. I've been in the healthcare field for over 9 years. I believe I deserve a pardon because I learned my lesson. I was 24 at the time of the offense. I haven't had any police contact since my release. I was out here young, doing dumb stuff. My mom was in and out of my life, so I really never had any guidance or mentor in my life. When I look back at my life and the crime that happened, I know what I did was very wrong, and I should have never let anyone put me in a position that will take my freedom from me. I want to continue my education in the healthcare field and make a better life for me and my kids. Due to me being a felon, it's hindering me from achieving my goals in life. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Ms. Phoenix. We'll open it up for questions from the board. Cindy?
Yeah, good afternoon, Ms. Phoenix. So you're currently a personal care worker, is that correct?
Well, I'm not a person. I work in group homes, healthcare settings. I go to people's homes sometimes. My current place of employment is an adult day center. I work with clients who have like disability behaviors.
Okay, and how would a pardon help you in your life with your employment or other things? How do you see it?
Because I want to continue my education. I want to go back to school and be a medical assistant. And I know that the backgrounds checks that their requirement will hinder me from even trying to go back and enroll in school.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Yes, Reverend Hancock.
Ms. Phoenix, do you have any contact with the guy who was in jail?
No, since my release, I have not contacted him. We have not spoken. We have not seen each other. When I got out of jail, my main focus was to get my life together because that should have never happened in the first place.
And you had 2 daughters while you were, when you got
At
put
the
in
time
jail?
of my offense, I had no children. Right now, I have 5 children. I just recently birthed twins. So right now, I have 5 children.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Any other questions from the board? All right. Thanks, Ms. Phoenix. Congratulations on your twins. We'll let you get back to that. That sounds like it keeps you plenty busy. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Morgan Pete. Mr. Pete?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello, everyone. My name is Morgan Pete. Around 2007, 2008-ish, I was charged as adjudicated delinquent due to me being found guilty of having marijuana at school. That resulted in me being charged with felony possession, and I was about 15 years old at the time. That offense resulted in a 1-year sentence at Ethan Allen School, which I completed, also with the extended supervision that was completed. Before returning to the community, I was released to Rawhide About Face program, which was kind of like a boot camp, which I completed as a corporal. When released from Rawhide, I went to TNA's group home where I graduated high school and gained employment at McDonald's. That was for 1 year. And then I added Walmart and worked there for about 2 years until my later incident. In 2011, I was pulled over. I told officers I had a firearm in a glove box for my protection. I did not understand at the time that I was a felon from my childhood offense. I was charged with felony possession of a firearm at that time, and I completed a sentence of 9 months, No, I was sentenced to 9 months in a house of correction, but I completed that in 3 months. I mean, in 6 months and 3 weeks. And then I was released on my own cognitive with no probation, no aftercare, anything. Since the completion of my sentences in 2014, I maintained steady employment through iLife and other personal care agencies until 2018. Due to my family growing and I needed more money, so I seeked out a new job. Also in 2018, I became employed at Mount Castle Transitional Living by Michael Harper. Michael Harper was also the owner and director of TNH Group Home that I went to after Rawhide. I'm currently still employed at Mount Castle, and my job there is a program assistant. That consists of me teaching 17-year-olds life skills and equipping them with fundamentals of transitioning to adulthood. As of 10/16/2024, I'm a full-time employee at FedEx as a swing carrier. On average, this job consists of 9 to 10 hours of my day, 6 days a week. Somehow, I still managed to come home to a house that my wife of 7 years, together 13 in total, managed to purchase in November of 2017. I have 3 beautiful children. My oldest, which is my bonus child, Caden, who is 14. My second oldest, which is my son, he's 10, that's Makai. And my junior, which is Morgan, she's named after me, and she's 4 years old. I currently have my CDL permit and is planning to have my official license by the end of year. After that, my goal is to enter the dump truck industry. I already received hands-on training and behind the wheels training with my brother who has 20 years in his own dump trucking company. I should receive a pardon because I believe in second chances. Since 2014, I've made some great achievements for myself, and I'm not that kid anymore. I learned from my mistakes. I deal with kids that, I help with their second chance every day. My work history and my commitment with the youth give them the tools to not go through the things that I went through or make the mistakes that I made, and that's what I'm trying to prevent. And I believe that my testimony deserves a better ending. And that's why I'm seeking a pardon.
Thank you, Mr. Pete. Questions from the board? Cindy?
Good afternoon, Mr. Pete.
Hi.
What gives me pause about your application are the number of close encounters you've had with firearms and stops, right? So they may not have been yours, and you've listed them all out for us, but it goes, and they're all within like 5 years, 3 years, they're recent. So, there's a firearm that your friend left behind in the basement and you didn't check the bin. There's a friend had a firearm under the car seat. A friend had a firearm in a glove box. You either need new friends you can't be around a gun. You can't have a gun. And these are not old news. And so what can you say to us about these incidents that have all involved you being close by with firearms?
In that case, I can say that I got a good selection of friends because all of my friends have the right to bear arms. Their rights are intact. They are city, they work for city, the city, the state, that they are in those type of lines of employment. The thing is that they were negligent with their firearm unbeknownst to me. I can't control what someone is thinking or want to do when they're intoxicated. They left their firearm behind. When it came time for them unfortunate circumstances, the police, they did their investigation. I had no DNA, no knowledge, no recollection. And these were all incidents where these things can very well happen. Like, for instance, with the glove box, with the glove box situation. A friend of mine, she worked 3 jobs. One of them, she been a realtor. The other one, she worked at St. Mary's, and the other one, she worked for the health department. So when she asked me to take her car to get an oil change, her being a realtor and a woman, she had her gun in a glove box. She didn't tell me, and I took the car to get an oil change. When I went to return the car, she was sleeping from working 3 jobs, so I kept it. Get pulled over. I never knew the gun was in the glove box. My friend Kenny, he works for the city bus. He's been working, and he worked for the county jail. We together one night. He drunk. I dropped him off. his firearm was in the vehicle. I didn't know. I pull over, I comply. You know, all of the notes should be there. I complied. I didn't, you know, try to get out of anything. I didn't know. I simply didn't know. And like I said, my friends, they're not bad people. They don't do crimes.
Right, and I'm not putting it on their friends, I'm putting it on you. If you borrow someone's car, you know, maybe you have to check the glove box or, you know what I'm saying? You can't, I don't want to see you get another offense.
In
And
my defense, I had no knowledge of these firearms to even be looking for them.
okay,
These were instances where I had no knowledge. It hit me out of surprise.
you
I
didn't
had
know
no
they
knowledge
had
of,
a firearm.
huh?
You didn't know they had a firearm.
No, I didn't even know they had a fire. And the thing is, they know about my past. So with me being a felon, I guess them trying to protect me, they don't share that type of stuff with me.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pete. Reverend Hancock, question from you? Oh, you're still on mute.
One of these gun incidents involves your wife, that you went back to the airport to get a magazine for her gun. Did you know about that?
I learned about that once she realized that she left the magazine.
Well,
She had
you did not know she had a gun?
No, and that's because she knows I'm a felon, but it's because of the area that we live in. So what happened was a murder happened across the street from our house. And I guess she felt the need to get a firearm because we have 3 kids in the home.
Sure. And she didn't tell you
Correct.
she had a gun.
Correct. And I found out about this when she left the clip in the rental. She had the rental. She had the rental and she took it back. And then she called me and said, "Oh, I left something in the rental. We have to go to the airport." We get to the airport. I find out it's a magazine. I'm under arrest. It caught me completely off guard. So I find out everything at the airport. She didn't tell me that she had a magazine. But like I said, the people around me, they know that I'm a felon. So if they have firearms, I don't want to know anything about it. I don't want to be close to it. I don't want to be around it. Keep it far away from me. And just so happened, these instances took place and I caught the short end of the stick for it.
Okay, thank you.
Noble?
Mr. Pete, how are you doing?
I'm good. And you?
Good. Do you believe that you or your family needs to carry a firearm for safety?
No. I don't believe so, not in today's time, for the simple fact my lifestyle is different. My where I live now is different. We recently purchased a new home, so where I live now is different. My hangout spots is different. You know, just the my everyday lifestyle now don't require. I'm at work 9, 10 hours a day. After that, I'm working with youth throughout the day. We don't need a firearm. I mean, and maybe that's why she didn't tell me about the firearm, because she know I didn't agree. I wouldn't agree to a firearm. Maybe that's why she didn't tell me. But me personally, I don't believe we have one. There's other methods to us protecting ourselves, as far as police officers. I got an ADT system. We got cameras everywhere. So, you know, it's other options to protecting yourself. And yeah, I don't know what she believes at this point, because I didn't know she had a firearm, but I don't believe that we need a firearm to protect ourselves.
Okay. I'm gonna say something to you, and this is not a question. This is
Okay.
more of a statement. You know, I've listened to the interview, and I know that there are people in your life that carry, and you may not know that, and you're working hard to get your life right and get everything there based upon this interview. I would strongly recommend that anytime you suspect or think, or the possibility is to ask, do you have it? Do you have one? Because, you leave yourself wide open when you don't ask that question. And I know they're friends and relatives, but it's cut and dry. It's a very cut and dry. Are you in possession or not? And you've been very fortunate, and I'm glad that that worked out for you. But you just you got to protect yourself and your family on
And
this.
I get that, and I'm aware, I understand. But in my defense, it's kind of hard when you don't have friends that live a certain lifestyle. Like, I don't have bad friends. They go to work. My friends, they work 80-hour weeks driving a city bus. They working in medical fields. So it's kind of hard to have to ask them, are you carrying, when they don't live that lifestyle. I mean, I get that everybody, got the right to bear arms. So I guess from that standpoint, I would have to ask. But typically, when you forehand ask somebody them questions, you kind of got some type of knowledge of them being some type of person that has to have a firearm. And I never got that from my people, man. They're kind, they're friendly, they're well spoken, they help each other, one another. I don't know. I never thought to just ask them, did they have a firearm when they was getting in the vehicle. I never thought to, but I guess I need to.
Thank you.
And before I go, the other lady, I forget her name, was it Cindy? She said something about the basement. Now, I want to touch base on that. The firearm that was in the basement, it belonged to my brother. Not a firearm. It wasn't a firearm. It was drugs. So in that case, my brother is serving a sentence for 15 years for drugs and a firearm. When my brother was going through this, I just collected his belongings from his baby mama. She called me. She said, "Hey, this what happened. Come get his belongings." Everything was in the tote. I didn't go through the tote. He went to jail for shooting at her in an apartment. So he, in my mind, this is done. So I just put the bin in the basement with the rest of the stuff. When the police come in, they came in because they thought I was hiding surveillance from the murder that happened across the street. And they found the stuff in the bin. I had no knowledge of that. My brother got 15 years for. Why am I going through that stuff? That stuff is gonna grow mold and be old. He ain't gonna be able to. I don't care what's in there. As far as I'm saying, I'm thinking the police got whatever they got out of her apartment. You know what I mean? I didn't have no reason to go through the bin. So yeah, I mean, it was a bunch of unfortunate circumstances, but I got answers for them because I'm innocent. It's just an unfortunate situation that I had to pay for, and my family went through it consistently, and I get pulled over. I don't live that lifestyle no more. I got my director here. I got successful transition stories with young men who came into the program that now they graduated, they got cars, they in college, all type of stuff that moved on. But yet every time I get pulled over, I'm talking to someone, my past, I get handled rough for it. Even in front of my kids. I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pete. Other questions from the board? Okay, well, Mr. Pete, I want to recognize we spent quite a lot of time with you, so I thank you for that. I know that these questions aren't always the easiest to answer. So I really appreciate your time today, in addition to all the work you did putting together this application. So thank you for that, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Todd Jones. Mr. Jones.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you. We can't quite see you yet. There we are.
Does that work? Okay. Hi there. My name's Todd Jones, and I was accused of and sentenced from the breaking and entering and burglary and theft during the time period of 1 week in July in 1990 and 1 week in August 1990. my situation was that I was hanging out with a friend I haven't seen since '87. He moved to Chicago and he had come back to visit and drinking too much and doing stupid things. And during that time period, I did cooperate with the police, and then I was going to school for marketing and graduated from there. But then after I started working at Coca-Cola, I had a car accident doing one of my jobs of delivering the Wisconsin State Journals. So I got paralyzed, C4 or 5, so cervical level, and so quadriplegic. So my attorney said, let's do just no contest. And so that's what I pleaded. And so I sentenced with straight probation. And that probation was supposed to go to, I think, 6 years to 2000, or I'm sorry, to 97. But after a year and a half, I was off probation and I was early. I don't know if I call that early release, but then from that point, my getting out of the hospital 2 months later in April, and I went back to school. I went to Madison Area Technical College, and I had terrible grades in high school. So, and my college credits didn't carry over from my marketing degree to transfer to the UW of University of Madison. So, and my goal, and I achieved my goal to actually the actual month, and going to school and getting my master's degree in rehabilitation, counseling, psychology. So during that time period, until now, till today, I've never did any kind of crimes. I not in a speeding ticket even. So I've been pretty straight-laced as best as I could. I was embarrassed when I was hanging out with Zach, and when that happened in August, I'm like, I can't hang out with you anymore. I'm engaged. I can't deal with this anymore, and being drunk all the time. So my whole life changed in August of '90. But I paid for it later in '91. And I wanted to get that out of the way. So my goal in life was to be a good role model for my nephew. My nephew's dad committed suicide when my nephew was 5. So I always wanted to be like a father role model. And even though I was classified as 100% disabled, I wanted to prove that anybody could go back and work, because I grew up on a farm. We worked all the time. I have a good work ethic. And so that worked out for me. School never worked out for me, but I learned how to study 7 days a week. And when I graduated, I started working for Madison Area Technical College. And for 20 years, I worked with students with disabilities. And during that time period from when I was injured up until I was done working at Madison College, I blew my shoulders out from repetitive typing and work like that. So I retired on disability in 2020. So there's a lot of offenses on my record, and some of them I didn't really know about, but I didn't know I was being charged with those crimes. But I was there, I did, and absolutely ashamed for it. It broke up my engagement, and it ruined some relationships, but I did my best the rest of the time over these 34 years to show that I'm a good person, that I had a bad 2 weeks in my life, and that I want to be a good role model. So, so now I'm asking for probation to get a pardon, so that maybe I can go into Adaptive Sportsman. It's a club that's here in Wisconsin, and they do things that are related to some politics, but also like adaptive sportsman stuff, like target shooting and bow shooting and stuff like that. And I grew up as a hunter. I mean, our families were all farmers and, hunters, but I stopped hunting about 18. I like target shooting better. I just, I wanted to achieve something and be better at it. So anyways, that's what I've been trying to do for, the last 34 years, is always be a good role model and to lead by example, obey the law. And I work with a lot of students with disabilities who kind of were in my shoes in some different ways. And so, not that I share details, but students were able to understand where I was coming from. I said, you can change your life. You can turn your life around. And I love that job. It was very rewarding. And I hope to do some more volunteering and stuff here in the near future. I'm starting to get my use of my arms back and without as much pain as I used to be in. So I'm to that point now where I'd like to do something. So a year and a half ago, I put the request in for a pardon.
Thank you. Questions from the board for Mr. Jones? Reverend Hancock.
Mr. Jones, help me understand. You committed these crimes, but before you were sentenced, you were in a car accident?
That is correct.
So you were, and you've been a quadriplegic since the car accident?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we had a very positive letter from John Martinson, who was, you were his guidance counselor at MATC. Can you tell me about that?
John and I met, he had a disability too. He's paraplegic, so he has a use of his upper body. And my job was, for any student, including John, was to take in the documentation, review the documentation, and then work with the student with appropriate accommodations. So extra testing, a time period, for if the instructor said an hour, you get an hour and a half or 2 hours, that type of thing. Voice to text recognition programs like Dragon were used in the testing room. So helping him with those things. And then I, with John, because he was one of my first students I kind of worked with early on, that has a lot of knowledge, of his past and things. So I was also, during the time period at MATC, I was on the ADA 504 committee, and we worked with facilities to make things more accommodating to students. And if you go back to the history of MATC, it was more men than women. So there were more men's bathrooms that are accessible for wheelchairs than women. So we got the school to allocate $100,000 a year to those accessibility projects. And so John was one of those persons too that have had a lot of experience, and being a paraplegic, we just kind of worked through things, and he's became a good friend of mine. He lives about 3 miles from me right now, where I'm at. And he went through the metal fabricating. So he makes things, and with his hands and stuff. So he's a really good guy, but he is also very much in charge of the adaptive sportsmen in Wisconsin. So he helps people get involved with that. And he was involved with, I forget the name of the grant now. I wrote it in my application. I don't have that in front of me. And that was to get a $3 million grant for spinal cord research. So that was one of my things I would like to help out with that too. And I would like to be, clean record would really help with that, with my, having some clout, I guess, or recognition that of where I've come from and where I used to be, that type of thing. But, and he's great. He's got a whole big family and stuff like that. And with accessibility with vehicles and things like that with DVR, working with him as well. He was type of person that's kind of like me, goal driven, had a lot of work ethic. So I didn't have to do a lot of one-on personal counseling with him every week. So yeah, he became pretty independent really quick.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Mr. Jones? All right. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, Mr. Jones. Appreciate it and hope you enjoy your weekend.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you. We'll do one more call for Mr. Bellinger, Dwayne Bellinger. Do not see Mr. Bellinger. Okay. So with that, that was our last applicant of the afternoon session. And at this point, I'll entertain a motion to move into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute, section 19.85, sub 1, sub A, sub D, and F, for purposes of deliberations concerning specific cases before the board, considering specific applications, financial, medical, social, and personal histories of specific persons. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Noble, do I have a second? Cindy, all in favor, aye. All opposed, Motion carries. We'll move into closed session, and I'll just ask the board to give us a minute to pause the live stream.